Recording in progress.
Good evening. My name is Mary Skeens, and I'd like to welcome you to the May 18th, 2026 meeting of the Greensboro Planning and Zoning Commission. If the other members would introduce themselves, starting to my right, please.
Stu Nichols.
Betty Turner.
Keith Peterson.
Catherine Maggot.
Warshay Downing.
Erica Glass.
Paul G. Gilmer Sr.
Ted Oliver.
Thank you. Please note that this meeting is being conducted in person and online, and if anyone participating online needs help with Zoom, please email staff at zoningadministration, all one word, at greensboro-nc.gov. Members of the Commission are appointed by the City Council, and we serve without pay. The Commission reviews all zoning, original zoning, annexation cases, and rezoning requests for the City of Greensboro, and each Commissioner normally visits each site prior to this meeting. The procedure for all public hearings will be as follows. First, planning staff will present the background information and make a recommendation on the request. The applicant will present a short summary on how he or she communicated with the neighborhood and why the request is reasonable. Other persons in favor of the request may speak, and this is for a total of 10 minutes, and time is shared with the applicant. Speakers opposed to the request will also share 10 minutes of speaking time. Those in favor of the request will then have 5 minutes of rebuttal time, and those in opposition to the request will also have 5 minutes of rebuttal time. At the end of the speaking time, we will close the public hearing. Any commissioner may ask questions once the presenter has completed their presentation. And all commissioners are required to vote unless they have a conflict of interest. In an effort to run the meetings more efficiently, the Commission may reorganize the meeting agenda. Cases in which no opposition has been expressed to the Planning Department, or in which no speakers have signed up to speak in opposition, and in which Commission members do not feel necessitates any in-depth discussion, those items will be moved to the top of the agenda. Staff will provide a shortened presentation for those expedited cases, and the applicant, if desired, will have 2 minutes to address the Commission to provide any additional information that they want the Commission to know. Expedited cases will then be discussed and voted on by the Commission. When speaking here tonight, please direct all questions and comments to the Planning and Zoning Commission, not to staff. The Commission will ask staff to comment on any questions. When a case is called that you're interested in, please come to the podium and we need your name and address for the record. If you're participating online, please find and use the raise hand function under the reaction button. You will be called upon to speak in the order in which your hand was raised. All approved or denied cases receiving 6 or more votes will constitute final action unless an appeal is submitted in writing to the Planning Department and the appeal fee is paid within 10 days. All cases receiving a majority of favorable votes but less than 6 will be subject to a public hearing by the City Council. And all cases that involve an annexation are also subject to final approval by the City Council. Participants in the Zoom meeting will be able to view the meeting and speak when they're called upon. This meeting is being recorded and televised on Greensboro television network. In addition, the telecast is being closed captioned for the hearing impaired. Now we need to hear from our attorney on additional items we need to consider or should not consider.
Thank you, Chair Skeens, and good evening, everyone. Much of the Planning and Zoning Commission's work this evening is going to relate to the consideration of rezoning applications. I'd like to just remind everyone in attendance that when the Commission considers these rezoning applications, the determinations made by the Commission are based on the land uses that are allowed under the zoning district that's been put forth in the application and any conditions that have been proposed by the applicant. The Board's decisions take broad policy questions into account, and those broad policy questions are summarized by the factors outlined in the reasonableness statements that you'll hear commissioners read when they make a motion on these rezoning items. Now, land use impacts on public infrastructure are relevant in rezoning matters, and it's important to know that the Commission is not here to determine all details of a development. That process involves staff input and evaluation that goes beyond the scope of the Commission's work. If a rezoning would generate a certain amount of traffic flow, the commissioners will have been provided with a summary traffic impact study. Meanwhile, site-specific development features, such as the exact means of stormwater management, are going to be evaluated through the Technical Review Committee rather than in this forum. Lastly, concerns that are not related to land use are not germane to the consideration of rezoning applications, but particularly things such as generalized concerns about crime rates, questions of who may own, live at, or use a subject property are not for the Commission's consideration. If there are questions about matters that are not addressed here this evening, those can be referred to the Planning Department or City Technical staff as appropriate. Thank you.
Thank you. We have minutes from the April 20th, 2026 meeting. Do I hear a motion on that?
Commissioner Keith Peterson, I make a motion we approve the minutes from April 20th, 2026.
Stu Nichols, I second.
All in favor of approving the minutes signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Minutes stand approved. We have at least one continuance. Can you bring us up to speed on that?
Yes, thank you, Chair Skeens. So we do have a request this evening to continue item PLP 2617 and Z 2605-008. This is 3663 Lewiston Road, 4931 ZZ, and 4937 ZZ Hackamore Road. The applicants here can speak very briefly to the continuance. They are requesting to continue this to the June Planning and Zoning Commission meeting.
Would the applicant like to address this request?
Yes, good evening, Commissioners. My name is Brad Deaton. I'm with Crosspoint Homes here in Greensboro at 1400 Battleground Avenue, Suite 207, Greensboro 27408.
Could you get closer to the mic?
Yes. So we had our first neighborhood meeting via Zoom, and then we've had 3 subsequent neighborhood meetings. We're having productive dialogue, and we feel we need more time to address some of their concerns and revise our plan. So we were requesting a continuance till the June meeting.
Any questions of the applicant on this case? Thank you. Is there anybody here who wants to speak in opposition to the continuance? Seeing none, we'll introduce a motion to continue. We need a motion to continue.
Commissioner Keith Peterson, item PLP-27-17 and Z-26-05-008, approve the continuance to June. June 15th.
Second, Washay Downing.
To the June meeting, which ends up being the 15th?
June 15th, yes.
15th, okay. All right, all in favor of continuing Z-26-008 and PL-26-17 to the June 15th meeting, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Okay. Moving into our agenda, based on speakers signed up at this point in time, the items being expedited and moved to the front of the agenda will be Z-26-05-001, which is 1202A Rankin Mill Road. Z-26-05-003, which is also PL 2614, is 3704 Liberty Road. And Z-26-05-010, PLP 26-18, which is 4800 Westgate City Boulevard. So those items will be moved to the top of the agenda in the order that I read them out. So, the first case will be an annexation and original zoning request from County RS 30 Residential Single Family to City R3 Residential Single Family 3 for the property identified as a portion of 1202A Rankin Mill Road, generally described as east of Rankin Mill Road and north of Huffine Mill Road, 0.14 acres.
Thank you, Chair Skeens. Again, the subject property is 0.14 acres, located east of Rankin Mill Road and north of Huffine Mill Road. This is an annexation and original zoning request from County RS 30 Residential Single Family to City R3 Residential Single Family. North of the request is Zone City, CDR3, Conditional District, Residential Single Family. East of the request is Zone City, CDR3, and City R3. South of the request is Zone City R3, and west of the request is Zone City HI Heavy Industrial. The subject property is part of a parcel with an existing single-family dwelling. North, east, and south of the request are single-family dwellings. West of the request is undeveloped land. This is the subject property as seen from Rankin Mill Road. This is a single-family home located north of the request on Rankin Mill Road, Zone City, CDR3. This is a single-family home located east of the request on Huffine Mill Road, Zone City R3. This is a single-family home located south of the request on Rankin Mill Road, Zone City R3. This is undeveloped land located west of the request, Zone City HI with a special use permit. This is a view facing north on Rankin Mill Road. The subject property here is on your right. This is facing south on Rankin Mill Road. The subject property is on the left. This is a straight zoning request, so there's no conditions associated with it. The comprehensive plan, future built format, designates the property as urban general, and the property is designated as residential on the future land use map. In recommending approval, staff notes that this request does support the comprehensive plan's Creating Great Places goal to expand Greensboro's citywide network of unique neighborhoods, offering residents of all walks of life a variety of quality housing choices, and the Building Community Connections goal to maintain stable, attractive, and healthy places to live and raise families. The proposed R3 district is intended to accommodate single-family dwellings and allows uses similar to existing uses in the surrounding area. I can answer any questions.
Any questions of staff? Would the applicant like a couple of minutes to elaborate on this request? Seeing none, and without objection, we'll close the public hearing. Open for discussion or motion.
I'd like to make a motion for Z 26-05-001. The Greensboro Planning and Zoning Commission believes that its action...
Ms. Maggot, we're going to do the annexation part
we
first.
forgot the annexation. I'm sorry. I really apologize. I'd like to make a motion for PLP 26-13 to annex this into the city.
Commissioner Keith Peterson, I second.
Okay, we have a motion from Ms. Maggot, a second by Mr. Peterson to grant the annexation. All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. That passes 9-0. Now,
Okay. Item Z 26-05-001, the Greensboro Planning and Zoning Commission believes that its actions to recommend approval of the original zoning request for the property at A portion of 1202A Rankin Mill Road from County RS 30 Residential Single Family to City R3 Residential Single Family 3 to be consistent with the adopted GSO 2040 Comprehensive Plan, and considers the action taken to be reasonable and in the public interest for the following reasons. 1, the request is consistent with the comprehensive plan's future build format and future land use map. 2, the proposed city R3 zoning district permits uses that fits the context of the surrounding area and limits negative impacts on adjacent properties. And 3, the request is reasonable due to the size, physical conditions, and other attributes of the area. It will benefit the property owner and the surrounding community, and approval is in the public interest.
Stu Nichols, I second.
okay, we have a motion by Ms. Maggot, a second by multiple people, but the loudest was Mr. Nichols, to grant this rezoning. All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. That passes on a 9-0 vote. This is a recommendation. This constitutes a favorable recommendation and is subject to a public hearing at the Tuesday, June 16th, 2026 City Council meeting, and it can only be a recommendation because it does involve a rezoning. And I need to make one addition in reading out the expedited cases. I've been told I left out 2321 and 2323 Lawndale Drive, which is being expedited also. Yeah, I did. Okay. The next expedited case is going to be 3704 Liberty Road. That is PLP 2614 and Z-26-05-003. This is an annexation and original zoning request from County RS 40 Residential Single Family to City R3 Residential Single Family 3 for the property identified as 3704 Liberty Road, generally described as west of Liberty Road and north of Wiley Lewis Road, 0.47 acres. Ms. Harrison.
Thank you, Chair Skeens. This is the subject property, and it contains 0.47 acres and is located west of Liberty Road and north of Wiley Lewis Road. This is an annexation and original zoning request from County RS 40 Residential Single Family to City R3 Residential Single Family 3. North, east, south, and west of the request are zoned County RS 40 Single Family Residential Single Family. This is the aerial map, and it shows that the subject property is undeveloped. North, south, and west of the request contains single-family dwellings. East of the request contains a single-family dwelling and undeveloped land used for animal grazing. There is no condition associated with this request, and in recommending approval, The staff states that the GSO 2040 comprehensive plan designates this site as urban general and on the future built form map and as residential on the future land use map. The proposed original zoning request supports both the comprehensive plans, creating Great Places' goal to expand Greensboro's citywide network of unique neighborhoods, offering residents of all walks of life a variety of quality housing choices, and the filling in of our framework big idea to arrange our land uses for where we live, work, attend schools, shop, and enjoy our free time to create a more vibrant and livable Greensboro. The proposed R3 zoning district is primarily intended to accommodate low-density single-family detached residential development of up to 3 dwelling units per acre. The proposed original zoning request allows uses that are similar to existing uses in the surrounding area. And I can answer any question that you may have.
Any questions of staff? Seeing none, would the applicant like to say a few words? Elaborate? No. Okay. We're then, without objection, going to close the public hearing, and I'm open for motions, discussion.
Commissioner Keith Peterson, I make a motion we annex PLP 26-143704 Liberty Road.
Second, Commissioner Maggot.
Okay, we have a motion by Mr. Peterson and a second by Ms. Maggot to grant the annexation. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Next motion.
Commissioner Keith Peterson, item Z-26-05-003. The Greensboro Planning and Zoning Commission believes that its action is to recommend approval of the original zoning request for the property at 3704 Liberty Road from County RS40 residential single family to City R3 to be consistent with the adopted GSO 2040 comprehensive plan, and considers the action taken to be reasonable and in the public interest for the following reasons. The request is consistent with the comprehensive plan future built form map and future land use map. The proposed City R3 zoning district permits uses that fit the contents of the surrounding area and limits negative impacts on adjacent properties. The request is reasonable due to the size, physical location, and other attributes of the area. It will benefit the property owner and surrounding community, and approval is in the public interest.
Second? from someone?
Second, Warshay Downing.
Okay, we have a motion by Mr. Peterson and a second by Mr. Downing to approve the rezoning. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. That passes 9-0. This constitutes a favorable recommendation and is subject to a public hearing at the Tuesday, June 16th, 2026 City Council meeting. The next expedited case is Z-26-05-004. This is a rezoning request from R5 Residential Single Family 5 to CDO Conditional District Office for the properties identified as 2321 and 2323 Lawndale Drive, generally described as west of Lawndale Drive and south of Fernwood Drive, 0.34 acres. Mr. Kirk.
Yes, thank you, Chair Skeens. Again, the request is to rezone from R5 Residential Single Family to CDO Conditional District Office. North of the request is currently zoned CDCN Conditional District Commercial Neighborhood. East and south of the request are zoned R5. West request is zoned Office. Subject property currently contains a single-family dwelling. North of the request are retail sales. East and south of the request are single-family dwellings, and west request is a formal medical office. This is a conditional application. These are the conditions that were offered by the applicant. I will note condition number 6. The applicant wishes to amend that condition, which will reduce the allowable square footage of the sign and the allowable height of the sign. So I'll have to ask the commission to accept those changes in that condition.
We need a motion for the changes to condition 6 on this case.
Stu Nichols, I move that we accept the additional conditions that the applicant has suggested.
Second.
motion by Mr. Nichols and a second by Ms. Turner to accept the two changes submitted. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. All right, good to go on that one.
Okay. The comprehensive plan's future-built format designates the property as urban central within an urban mixed-use corridor, as well as a reinvestment corridor, and the properties are designated as residential in the future land use map. Staff has concluded this request does support the comprehensive plan's growing economic competitiveness big idea to build a prosperous, resilient economy that creates equitable opportunities to succeed, and the filling in our framework goal to attract world-class development to transform underutilized sites and buildings into valued assets that complement their surroundings. The proposed CDO district, as conditioned, allows uses that are compatible with existing uses in the surrounding area. And note that these properties are located adjacent to more intense office and commercial uses and at the periphery of a residential neighborhood. So this property is appropriate for the smaller scale non-residential use, especially given its proximity to a major thoroughfare. Answer any questions?
Any questions? Mr. Kirkman? Would the applicant like a couple of minutes? Very good. Without objection, we'll close the public hearing for discussion. Motions?
I make a motion regarding item Z 26-05-004. The Greensboro Planning and Zoning Commission believes that its action to recommend approval of the rezoning request of the property at 2321 and 2323 Lawndale Drive from R5 Residential Single Family 5 to CDO Conditional District Office to be consistent with the adopted GSO 2040 Comprehensive Plan and considers the action taken to be reasonable and in the public interest for the following reasons. 1, the request is consistent with the Comprehensive Plan's future built form map and future land use map. 2, the proposed CDO zoning district, as conditioned, permits uses that fit the context of the surrounding area and limits negative impacts on adjacent properties. 3, the request is reasonable due to the size, physical conditions, and other attributes of the area. It will benefit the property owner and surrounding community, and approval is in the public interest.
Second, Warshay Downing.
Okay, we have a motion by Ms. Turner and a second by Mr. Downing to approve the request. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. That carries on a vote of 9-0. And this actually is going to be final action unless an appeal is submitted in writing to the Planning Department. The appeal fee is paid within 10 days. Anyone may file such an appeal. All such appeals will be subject to a public hearing at the Tuesday, June 16th, 2026 City Council meeting, and all adjoining property owners will be notified of any such appeal. All right, moving on. Next expedited case is PLP 26-15 and Z 26-05-005. This is an annexation and original zoning request from County RS 40 Residential Single Family to City R3 Residential Single Family 3 for the property identified as 4701 Hickory Valley Road, generally described as north of Hickory Valley Road and west of Youngs Mill Road. It's 0.79 acres. Ms. Harrison.
Thank you, Chair Skeens. The subject property contains approximately 0.79 acres and is located north of Hickory Valley Road and west of Youngs Mill Road. This is an annexation and original zoning request from County RS 40 Residential Single Family to City R3 Residential Single Family 3. North and west of the request are zoned City CDRM 8, which is a conditional district, residential multifamily 8. East and south of the request are zoned County RS 40 Residential Single Family. This is the aerial map. It shows that a single-family dwelling is currently on this property. North and west of the request contain single-family dwellings and undeveloped land. East of the request contains undeveloped land. South of the request contains single-family dwellings. There's no condition associated with this request, and in approving this request, staff states that the GSO 2040 comprehensive plans future built form map designates the subject property as exurban. If this original zoning request is approved, the future built form designation for the subject site is considered to be amended to urban general. The subject property is designated as residential on the future land use map. The proposed original zoning request supports both the comprehensive plans creating great places goal to expand Greensboro's city-wide network of unique neighborhoods offering residents of all walks of life a variety of quality housing choices, and the filling in of our framework big idea to arrange our land uses for where we live, work, attend school, shop, and enjoy our free time to create a more vibrant and livable Greensboro. The proposed R3 zoning district is primarily intended to accommodate low-density single-family detached residential development of up to 3 dwelling units per acre. The proposed original zoning request allows uses that are similar to existing uses in the surrounding area. And I can answer any question that you may have.
Any questions?
I have a question. The Technical Review Committee recommended annexation of this 430, I think. Was that correct?
Yes.
Okay, great. And this is for water and sewer. Thank you.
Correct.
Any other questions? Okay, would the applicant like a couple of minutes to elaborate on their request? Seeing none, without objection, we will close the public hearing and be open for discussion or motions.
Madam Chair, I'd like to make a motion for annexation PLP 2615. Oh, and the address is 4701 Hickory Valley Road.
Second, Catherine Magid.
Okay, we have a motion by Mr. Downing, a second by Ms. Magid to approve the annexation. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That passes 9-0. Now, on the rezoning request.
Yes, Madam Chair, regarding agenda item Z2605005, the Greensboro Planning and Zoning Commission believes that its action to recommend approval of the rezoning of the original zoning request for the property at 4701 Hickory Valley Road from County RS 40 Residential Single Family to City R3 Residential Single Family 3 to be consistent with the adopted GSO 2040 Comprehensive Plan, and considers the action taken to be reasonable and in the public interest for the following reasons. Number one, the request is consistent with the comprehensive plan's future built form map and future land use map. Number two, the proposed City R3 zoning district permits uses that fit the context of the surrounding area and limits negative impacts on adjacent properties. Number three, the request is reasonable due to the size, physical conditions, and other attributes of the area. It would benefit the property owner and surrounding community, and approval is in the public interest.
Stu Nichols, I second.
Thank you. We have a motion to approve the rezoning by Mr. Downing, a second by Mr. Nichols. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. That passes 9-0, and this constitutes a favorable recommendation and is subject to a public hearing at the Tuesday, June 16th, 2026 City Council meeting. Our next expedited case is going to be Z-26-05-006, 3208, 3210, and 3212 North O. Henry Boulevard.
Sorry, we got a little ahead of ourselves here.
We're getting there. Okay.
Nope. One more. All right, now we're ready to go.
I'll go finish. Generally described as east of North O. Henry Boulevard and north of McKnight Mill Road, 3.75 acres.
Thank you, Chair Skeens.
Okay.
Just making sure the buttons work. Okay, so the request this evening is a rezoning from CM Commercial Medium to CDLI Conditional District Light Industrial. North of the request is currently zoned LI Light Industrial. East of the request is zoned R3 Residential Single Family. South and west requests are zoned CM Commercial Medium. The subject property currently contains a former contractor's office and undeveloped land. North request contains a utility contractor warehouse. East request are single-family homes. South request is a self-storage facility, and west of the request is U.S. Highway 29. This is a conditional zoning application, and this is the condition that was offered by the applicant and advertised as part of the hearing this evening. In recommending approval for this request, staff notes that this is designated as urban general within a reinvestment corridor on the future built form map, and the future land use map designate the properties currently as residential. The proposed zoning request does support the comprehensive plan's prioritizing sustainability goal to give Greensboro a strong leadership role in environmental stewardship, social equity, and a resilient economy, and the growing economic competitiveness goal to build a prosperous, resilient economy that creates equitable opportunities to succeed. The proposed CDLI district as condition limits available uses to those that are generally consistent with the character of nearby properties, and in general, the uses permitted in the LI district have little or no adverse impact upon adjoining properties while allowing for adaptive reuse of an underutilized property. Staff notes care should be taken with respect to building orientation, materials, height, and visual buffers to ensure appropriate transition to the lower density residential uses on adjacent properties. I can answer any questions.
Any questions of Mr. Kirkman? Thank you. Would the applicant like a couple of minutes to elaborate on this request? Any questions? Thank you. Without any other comments then, and without objection, we will close the public hearing. Discussion, motions.
I'll make a motion. Ted Oliver. In the matter of item Z 26-05-006, the Greensboro Planning and Zoning Commission believes that its actions to recommend approval of the rezoning request of the property at 3208, 3210, and 3212 North O. Henry Boulevard from C-M Commercial Medium to CDL-LI Conditional District Light Industrial to be consistent with the adopted GSO 2040 comprehensive plan and considers the action taken to be reasonable and in the public interest for the following reasons. Number one, the request is consistent with the comprehensive plan's future built form map and future land use map. Number two, the proposed CD-LI zoning district as condition permits uses that fit the context of the surrounding area and limits negative impacts on adjacent properties. Number three, the request is reasonable due to the size, physical conditions, and other attributes of the area. It will benefit the property owner and surrounding community, and approval is in the public interest.
Commissioner Gilbert seconds.
Thank you. We have a motion by Mr. Oliver and a second by Mr. Gilmer to approve the request. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. That passes 9-0, and this approval constitutes a final action unless an appeal is submitted in writing to the Planning Department and the appeal fee is paid within 10 days. Anyone may file such an appeal. All such appeals will be subject to a public hearing at the Tuesday, June 16th, 2026 City Council meeting, and all adjoining property owners will be notified of any such appeal. We have one more expedited case. This is item PLP 26-18 and Z 26-05-010. This is an annexation and original zoning request from County HB Highway Business to City CDCM Conditional District Commercial Medium for the property identified as 4800 Westgate City Boulevard, generally described as north of Westgate City Boulevard and south of Kitty Hawk Road, 0.83 acres. Ms. Harrison.
Thank you, Chair Skeens. The subject property currently is approximately 0.83 acres and is located north of Westgate City Boulevard and south of Kitty Hawk Road. This is an annexation and original zoning request from County HB Highway Business to City CM, conditional district commercial medium. North of the request is zone county RS40, residential single family. East, south, and west of the request are zone county HB highway business. This is the aerial photo, and it shows that the subject property is currently undeveloped. North of the request contains single-family dwellings and undeveloped land. East of the request contains veterinary services. South of the request contains a retail, vehicle sales and services, and west of the request contains undeveloped land. There's no condition associated with this request, and in recommending approval, staff states that the GSO 2040 Comprehensive Plan's future built form map currently designates the property as urban general within an urban mixed-use corridors and a reinvestment areas and corridors. The subject property is designated as residential on the future land use map. The proposed original zoning request supports both the comprehensive plans, filling in our framework big idea to arrange our land uses for where we live, work, attend school, shop, and enjoy our free time to create a more vibrant and livable Greensboro, and the growing economic competitiveness big idea to build a prosperous, resilient economy that creates equitable opportunities to succeed. The proposed city CD CM zoning district, as conditioned, would permit all uses in the CM zoning district except eating and drinking establishments with drive-through facilities, bar, nightclubs, brew pubs, and convenience store with fuel pumps. The uses allowed under this request are similar to existing uses present in the surrounding areas. And I can answer any question that you may have.
Any questions?
So the sign was down on this property. I just want to make certain. So it's Westgate Boulevard.
Yes.
Is where it began from there to Kitty Hawk. Okay, great. And it did have the technical review for the annexation already.
Yes, it did.
Okay, thank you so much. It was a little confusing.
Any other questions? Thank you, Ms. Harrison. Would the applicant like to speak to this request for a couple of minutes? Okay, thank you. All right, seeing no other comments, without objection, we will close the public hearing and open for discussions, motions.
I'd like to make a motion to annex PLP 26-18, which is 4800 Westgate City Boulevard.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion by Ms. Maggot, a second by Mr. Downing to grant the annexation. All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Thank you. Moving on to the zoning request.
So regarding item Z 26-05-010, the Greensboro Planning and Zoning Commission believes that its actions to recommend approval of the original zoning request for the property at 4800 Westgate City Boulevard from County HB Highway Business to City CDCM Conditional District Commercial Medium to be consistent with the adopted GSO 2040 Comprehensive Plan and considers the action taken to be reasonable and in the public interest for the following reasons. 1, the request is consistent with the comprehensive plan's future build format and future land use map. 2, the proposed city CDCM zoning district as conditioned permits uses that fit the context of the surrounding area and limits negative impact on the adjacent properties. And 3, the request is reasonable due to the size, physical conditions, and other attributes of the area. It will benefit the property owner and the surrounding community, and approval is in the public interest.
Commissioner Gill, second.
Thank you. We have a motion by Ms. Maggot and a second by Mr. Gilmer to approve the rezoning. All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Thank you. That passes on a 9-0 vote, and this constitutes a favorable recommendation and is subject to a public hearing at the Tuesday, June 16th, 2026 City Council meeting. Do you want to go to the text amendment or go back to the cases with opposition?
Go ahead and go back to the cases we have opposition.
Do that again, please.
Go back to the cases with opposition.
Okay. Well, that wasn't what was on the screen, so.
I'm just trying to get to the right slide. Sorry about that.
You're trying to find your spot.
Yep.
All right. The next case is going to be Z-26-05-002. This is a rezoning request from CDLI Conditional District Light Industrial to CDLI Conditional District Light Industrial for the property identified as 2614 Greengate Drive, generally described as west of Greengate Drive and north of Corliss Street, 0.92 acres.
Yes, thank you, Chair Skeens. Again, the request, as noted, is to change conditions from the existing conditional district light industrial district to a conditional district light industrial district with different conditions. The north, east, south, and west requests are all zoned CDLI conditional district light industrial. This subject property currently contains office uses. North of the request is an automobile repair service. East of the request is a manufacturing use. South of the request contains an indoor recreation facility. West request is a manufacturing and warehouse facility. This is the subject property as seen from Greengate Drive. This is the vehicle service use located north of request on Greengate Drive, zone CDLI. This is a manufacturing use located east of request on Greengate Drive, zone CDLI. This is an indoor recreation use located south of request on Greengate Drive, zone CDLI. This is a manufacturing warehouse facility located west of request on Corliss Street, also zone CDLI. This is a view facing north on Greengate Drive. Subject property is on your left. And this is a view facing south on Greengate Drive. The subject property is on the right. This is the condition that was submitted as part of the application and advertised at the hearing this evening. The GSO 24 Comprehensive Plan's future built form map currently designates the property as planned industrial district within the South Greensboro area plan and within a reinvestment area. The property is also designated as industrial on the future land use map. The proposed rezoning request supports the comprehensive plan's growing economic competitiveness goal to increase and preserve the inventory of developable sites compatible with corporate and industrial uses. And the request supports the filling in our framework strategy to maintain inventory and market key underutilized sites and structures to provide to private industry and developers. The proposed CDLI district as condition allows uses that are compatible with the existing manufacturing uses adjacent to the subject property and compatible with the South Greensboro area plan by expanding land use options for future development in this industrial area. I can answer any questions.
Any questions of Mr. Kirkman? Thank you. Is the applicant here to present the case?
Can you come to the microphone, sir?
You need to come to the podium, please, and give your name and address. We do have opposition to this case, so we need to know as much as possible.
My name is Wayne Troxler. I reside at 7467 Doggett Road, Brown Summit, North Carolina. I'm representing Avalon Potts, the owner, in this rezoning. The only reason that we're having to rezone this is because of a 1984 written statute in there that said they're allowed no clubs in this building. We've got a cheerleading club, and that's all it is. They're not there on the weekends. There's no traffic impact. That's pretty much all it is. It's not a complicated matter. I'll be glad to address any questions.
So the reason for the rezoning request, because the word club?
That is correct.
Actually, I'll expand on that just a little bit. So the current conditions actually go back to the pre-1992 zoning ordinance, and under the wording that's there, it doesn't allow recreation uses. That's what ultimately this is getting to, is our indoor recreation use. I know the club is the cheerleading club,
right,
but that's what he's really trying to get to is indoor recreation use.
Mr. Troxler, in 1984, there was a litany of conditions that went to this property.
It was. Yep.
Which didn't allow curb markets, gas stations, all right.
Right.
The way you have submitted this, if you could have those, because you have not incorporated the conditions from the original rezoning.
Ma'am, all I did was do what the city asked me to do. I mean, I would be glad. We don't care about any of those other conditions either. I mean, I'll be glad to throw those in if we need to, if that would make y'all feel better. But
It'll make me feel better, and you'll have my approval if you do.
yeah, I'm fine with that.
Mr. Kirkman, how do we do this? No. I would think so. No. Let's see what they come up with.
All right. We'll see if we can work this through for the commission. Several of these are not allowed under the current light industrial. That's part of the reason that that's not needing to be brought forward. The references to the hazardous waste treatment facility and hazardous waste storage, that would require, under our current ordinance, would require heavy industrial zoning and a special use permit. You're not hearing?
We can't hear good on this end. I don't know what it is.
And you're talking way too fast.
Okay. I will slow down. Looking at the uses that are referenced in the current condition, which is from 1984,
right?
I can say that the hazardous waste treatment facilities that are referenced, that would not be allowed with this zoning, because under our current ordinance, you would have to have heavy industrial zoning with a special use permit, and this is going to light industrial zoning, so those wouldn't be allowed anyway. The curb market is basically a retail sales use, which also would not be allowed with light industrial zoning. So the only two options that would potentially still be allowed in LI would be an eating and drinking establishment without a drive-through. That is allowed in light industrial zoning. And then a gas station, which is referred to as a convenience store with fuel pumps under our current ordinance. So I'll ask Mr. Troxler if he would like to prohibit those two uses that were prohibited previously.
Yes.
Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay.
So prohibiting the eating and drinking establishments and the gas stations.
And right, convenience stores with fuel pumps is what's referred to as today. But those were the only two things that would be allowed under the current
So
LI
gas
zoning.
stations would still be permitted?
If he's saying he's willing to prohibit that use.
So we have three items: gas stations, hazardous waste,
No.
and
The hazardous waste would not be allowed. Right,
eliminated
correct.
Anyway.
Correct.
Eating and drinking establishments.
So basically, it's eating and drinking establishments without drive-throughs. That would be allowed otherwise in LI. Or gas stations, or as we would refer to it, as a convenience store with fuel pumps under the current ordinance. So it sounds like Mr. Troxler is agreeable to offer to prohibit those two uses that were previously prohibited. Does that answer your question, Mr. Peterson?
Yeah, that needs
Yeah,
to be
you'll need a motion
part
to
of the
accept that
motion.
as an amended condition, yes. A new, which would be just to add those two other prohibited uses to condition number 1.
And the truck doors, docks, loading areas. "20-foot buffer adjacent to Corliss Street." I mean, we're getting into the specifics, but if we approve it as submitted, it leaves the door open for some of these other items.
Correct.
And that's what we don't want to do.
So,
What other items are we talking about?
yeah, I'm going to say it's a little tricky for us to try to deal with these extra conditions. The use one's pretty straightforward. You're talking about some other things that we would need to talk a little further, I think, with the applicant. Mr. Troxler, I guess the question would be, would you be willing to continue this matter for 1 month till we can address these issues?
I don't really see that there's an issue here. I mean, all we're doing is we're asking for light industrial, which we've already got, and we're going to basically do away with all the bad things that could go in there. I don't see anything under the light industrial district that is going to, other than what we've already mentioned. But if there's other things you're worried about, I'll be willing to discuss it and, bring it up, but I don't want to delay it.
About it. My understanding is that we'd want to include eating and drinking establishments without drive-throughs and gas stations with fuel pumps. Well, it can't be a gas station if it doesn't have fuel pumps, so that doesn't. Convenience store. Okay. We're going to try to help you here.
Okay, no problem.
Okay, so it's convenience stores with fuel pumps would be excluded, and eating and drinking establishments without drive-throughs. Because the other items, from what I'm understanding, the other items that
Are not allowed in the LI
aren't
district,
allowed
correct?
anyway. And what about the buffers and the 8-foot high fence?
Yeah, we've already got a fence.
So they're already in place,
They're already in place.
okay?
Yep.
Is staff okay with that?
Fence all the way around the rear of the property.
Yes.
Well, I got to be honest, part of the conditions is very specific and prescriptive to the type of planting that needs to be there and some other things, and I don't think the city would support those, because if we're talking about landscaping conditions, we need to talk about, work with the technical staff to figure out what makes sense. Local plants, things that are going to be able to survive.
Yeah, this is a light industrial zone property already. We're just,
Understand.
yeah, so.
But with the way that it's been presented, you're eliminating some of the noxious uses that had been eliminated originally. And
Right.
there's some concern that those need to be put back in for the protection of the neighborhood.
Yeah, I'm all for that. Yeah, I have no problem with that.
Are
All right.
you,
I hate to do this, but I think if we could take a 5-minute recess so I can actually talk through, I need to talk with staff to make sure we give you the right wording and understand
I think
that.
makes perfect sense.
Yes.
Yes.
Thank you.
5-minute recess.
Okay.
I know. Well.
Parking in downtown Greensboro is easy with the Park mobile app. You can easily pay for parking in any public surface lot or on-street meter location using this simple, user-friendly app. After downloading and opening the app, you will see a map displaying your location and nearby parking zones. Once you've parked, confirm your zone number on the closest Park mobile sign, select the amount of time you'd like to stay, and complete your payment. Need to extend your time? Open the app and add to the maximum time limit allowed in the zone. No smartphone, no problem. Call 877-727-5301 to set up your payment. Need ADA accessible parking? Display your valid plot card and select the accessible zone in your location, even if you aren't in a designated accessible space. Friendly reminder, parking is free in public surface lots and on-street locations after 5 p.m. Monday through Friday. Parking is also free all weekend and on city-recognized holidays. So plan your next trip downtown, support your favorite small businesses, and don't forget to use the Park mobile app for convenient, hassle-free parking payments.
What do you get when you mix archaeology, STEM programs, hundreds of kids, and thousands of Legos? You get the first Lego League North Carolina State Championship.
Countdown 3, 2, 1, Lego!
Hensley, what do you like about Legos?
I enjoy it. I enjoy playing with them, and it's really fun, yeah.
Savannah, what about you?
I like building and that I can do anything I want with them.
Yeah, so what makes you most proud when you do Legos?
Legos, when I have a goal and I want to build it, that I achieve that goal and build what it wants.
What is Lego competition like, Hensley?
It's pretty fun, kind of nerve-wracking, but really, I mean, you just got to give it your all and do your best.
What's it like working with a team on a project?
It's nice that you're not by yourself and you have other people to support you, and it's so many different ideas that you can combine and make into one big idea.
All right, Savannah, what do you want to do when you grow up?
I want to be a surgeon.
Love it. How about you, Hensley?
I want to be a professional soccer player.
So, Corey, what is this that's happening here today?
This is a wonderful event. So today you are at the North Carolina First Lego League Challenge State Championship, where we have 66 teams from across the state who qualified to be here through qualification events that happen throughout the FLL season.
All right, so what did it take? I mean, you said they had to qualify, but like before they even qualified, what were these teams doing? What have they been doing for years and years to actually end up in a place like this?
Every season, First Inc. First stands for inspiration and recognition of science and technology. Global organization. It's a wonderful.
I'm sorry, did the commission take a motion to accept those amended conditions?
No, we didn't.
We should do that.
Okay, we needed a motion to accept the additional conditions.
Commissioner Keith, I make a motion we accept the additional conditions that was read by the chairperson.
Commissioner Gilman, second.
Okay, Mr. Peterson agreed to the changes, seconded by Mr. Gilmer. All in favor of those added conditions signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Okay, we got our motion now. Ms. McIver.
Thank you. Cheryl McIver, 404 West Mount Castle Drive, Woodley Community. I just have one question. Mr. Traxler, thank you. Thank you so much. And thank you also to the commissioners for having an additional conversation. We know that when we rezone things, if we don't have certain exclusions, that when that property sells, it could be any myriad of things. And so our biggest concern was the gas stations and the light industrial trucks in that area, knowing that residential was less than 50 feet, maybe 100 feet. We have a whole community there. But I do have a question, because when I'm looking under, and we welcome the cheerleading club, let me be very clear. When I look under light industrial, it says all indoor recreation except is listed, and clubs and lodges is an exception. So I'm confused how he can still have the cheerleading club. We accept it. We want him to have it under light industrial without having a special condition or use permit saying that that club is allowed.
Right. That's a general structure for the land development ordinance, where there's a broader category of uses that fall under that include a lot of different activities. And then there are other uses that are specifically called out for separate regulation. So the reason it says except as listed below means that there are other uses that are called out separately because there are different regulations for those uses. But the club or lodge is more of a membership thing. So this is, I guess, more like an Elks Lodge or Moose Lodge. That's what that club or lodge is referring to. This is an indoor recreation use in terms of athletes training and doing other things with
Okay, perfect. Because that was the original conversation, the word club. So I just wanted to make sure that.
Thank you for clarifying.
Okay, all right, thank you. I have nothing further, and thank you guys for taking a break to work through it.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else to speak in opposition? Seeing none, Mr. Trockler, you have 5 minutes if you want to have anything more to say. And Ms. McIver, you're good. Okay. Without objection, we will close the public hearing, and we're looking for a motion with the that will include the changes in the conditions that have been read into the record.
Commissioner Keith Peterson, item Z-26-05-002. The Greensboro Planning and Zoning Commission believes that its action to recommend approval of the rezoning request for the property at 2614 Greengate Drive from CD-LI Conditional District Light Industrial to CD-LI Conditional Light Industrial to be consistent with the adopted GSO 2040 Comprehensive Plan, and considers the action taken to be reasonable and in public interest for the following reasons, to include the additions to this rezoning. The request is consistent with the Comprehensive Plan future form map and future land use map. The proposed CD-LI zoning district as condition permits uses that fit the context of the surrounding area and limits negative impacts on adjacent properties. The request is reasonable due to the size, physical condition, and other attributes of the area. It will benefit the property owner and surrounding community, and approvals in the public's interest.
Commissioner Gilman, second.
Thank you. We have a motion from Mr. Peterson and a second from Mr. Gilmer to approve the motion. Excuse me. All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed, like sign. That passes 9-0. And this approval constitutes a final action unless an appeal is submitted in writing to the Planning Department, and the appeal fee is paid within 10 days. Anyone may file such an appeal. All such appeals shall be subject to a public hearing at the Tuesday, June 16th, 2026 City Council meeting, and all adjoining property owners will be notified of any such appeal. Okay, the next case. Just went away.
Yeah, I'm trying to reset it here.
Okay.
Okay.
Yes. Okay, here we go. This is item PLP 26-16 and Z 2605-007. This is an annexation and original zoning request from County AG Agricultural to City CDRM 18, Conditional District Residential Multifamily 18, for the properties identified as 1818, 1820, and 1830 Andrews Farm Road, generally described as west of Andrews Farm Road and north of McConnell Road, 83.22 acres. Mr. Kirk.
Yes, thank you again, Chair Skeens. This is a request to annex this property into the city's jurisdiction and establish original city zoning to CD RM18 Conditional District Residential Multifamily. North and east request is Zone County CZ RS40 Residential Single Family with conditional zoning. South and west request is Zone County AG SUP Agricultural with Special Use Permit. The subject properties currently contain single-family dwellings and undeveloped land. North of request is a solar farm, undeveloped land and single-family dwellings. East of request are single-family dwellings and undeveloped land. South of request are single-family dwellings and a solar farm. West of request is a solar farm. This image shows the subject property as seen from Andrews Farm Road. This is the solar farm located northwest of request on Stewart Mill Road, Zone County CZ RS40. This is undeveloped land located north of request on Andrews Farm Road, Zone County CZ RS40. This is a single-family dwelling located north of request on Andrews Farm Road, Zone County CZ RS40. This is a single-family dwelling located east of request on Andrews Farm Road, Zone County CZ RS40. This is a single-family dwelling located south of request on Andrews Farm Road, Zone County CZ RS40. This is a solar farm located south of request on Mount Hope Church Road, Zone County AG SUP. And this is a solar farm located west of the request on Mount Hope Church Road, also Zone County AG SUP. This is a view facing north on Andrews Farm Road. The subject property is on the left. This view is facing south on Andrews Farm Road. The subject property is on the right. These are the conditions that were offered by the applicant. The applicant is interested in adding an additional condition to the request, as shown in bold and underlined, which I'll read into the record. A minimum 6-foot-high opaque fence, where permitted, shall be installed adjacent to the northern property line of 1824 Andrews Farm Road, parcel 120670. Ask the commission to accept that condition.
Okay, do I hear a motion to accept the fourth condition on the fence?
Commissioner Keith, and I make a motion we accept the fourth condition.
Second, Commissioner Turner.
Okay, we have a motion from Mr. Peterson and a second from, excuse me, Ms. Turner to accept that fourth condition. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, like sign? Okay, we have a fourth condition.
Okay. GSO 2040 Comprehensive Plan's future built form map designates the subject property as exurban. If this original zoning request is approved, the designation for the subject site is considered amended to urban general. The property is currently designated as residential on the future land use map of the comprehensive plan. Staff has determined that this original zoning request supports both the comprehensive plan's Creating Great Places goal to expand Greensboro's citywide network of unique neighborhoods offering residents of all walks of life a variety of quality housing choices, and the filling in our framework big idea to arrange our land uses for where we live, work, attend school, shop, and enjoy our free time to create a more vibrant and livable Greensboro. The proposed CD-RM18 district as condition offers a range of residential uses at a maximum overall density of 18 dwelling units per acre. The request allows uses that are similar to those in the surrounding area. Care should be taken with respect to building orientation, materials, height, and visual buffers to ensure an appropriate transition to the lower density residential on adjacent properties. And I can answer any questions.
Any questions? Thank you very much. Is the applicant here to present the case?
Madam Chair, excuse me, members of the commission, my name is Nick Blackwood, 804 Green Valley Road here in Greensboro, here on behalf of the applicant KZT Acquisition, the contract purchaser of this property. With me this evening, we have Sydney Larson, a civil engineer with Kimley Horn, who can help assist answering any of your technical questions with respect to this site. So I wanted to start off just to give you some context for the area and give a brief explanation as to why here. You can see the subject property highlighted and outlined in red in the middle of the property. Wanted to point out the proximity to two interchanges, 8540 interchanges, and that's really the driver for not only this project but the other residential growth that you're seeing along this stretch of McConnell Road. Just under 3 miles or right at 3 miles with respect to that access to that interchange or those interchanges from this property. Obviously that's a large economic driver, that interstate corridor there. Just a quick 15-20 minute commute to the Toyota facility. So that's really what's driving a lot of the growth here. We don't have all of the utility infrastructure ready to go directly adjacent to that Toyota site for this type of residential development. So this is kind of as close as we can get. 15-20 minute commute to Toyota, hop on the interchange or the interstate right there via those interchanges, and you're off to the races. So that's why you're seeing not only this project in particular, but some of the other residential growth along this stretch. As Mr. Kirkman noted, wanted to highlight the existing solar farm that borders us on 3 sides to the northwest and south. It consists of about 250 acres. So I would submit to the commission that we are not going to be having a tremendous impact outside of our eastern frontage. We're essentially insulated from any impacts on those other residential neighbors to the west, northwest, and south of this project. Do understand that we do have some residential neighbors fronting Andrews Farm Road. I believe some are here this evening to speak. We did have a neighborhood meeting, and I'll speak on that a little later in the presentation. But just wanted to highlight for the commission's benefit the location of that solar farm that borders us on 3 of our sides. Another important point I wanted to note, if you're looking at conditions on the ground with respect to what's already been developed or what may be in the process of being developed, you may miss that there's a very large plan unit development that was approved in 2021 at the tail end of Andrews Farm Road. That permits development of up to 1,400 units, single-family homes and townhomes. So yes, that construction has not commenced or really reached its full development potential to date, but it's coming. The character and nature of this area is changing. It has already changed. Kind of speaking to some of those points I referenced on the first slide, that sort of higher density residential development is not something unique to this project in this area. And I would submit, when you look at our project, yes, we're submitting an RM18 request. We've capped that development density at 210 lots. So spread out across the 83 acres, it really comes out to about 2.5 units an acre. So a higher density than what's out there right now, but not necessarily high density when you look at the grand scheme of residential development with respect to the city's ordinance. This slide shows an illustrative sketch plan of how we anticipate these lots may lay out on the property. This has been through preliminary sketch plan review. Did want to note to the commission, you can see on the western boundary of the property and then extending up towards the north, there's some fairly extensive stream and wetland features, which really kind of pinches us towards that southeastern portion of our property, which is part of the reason why you see that unit cap condition at 210. It's just not going to be feasible for us to really develop any higher density than that. And I think it works out in a good way for those folks in the area along Andrews Farm Road. This really is a good middle ground proposal to allow for some higher density development without being completely out of character from a density perspective with what they're accustomed to. As I mentioned earlier, we did hold a neighborhood meeting. We sent out these notice letters. Initially, we were requesting a CDR7 project. And that density calculation worked for us with the unit count we thought we could obtain. However, the developer and the home builder want to do kind of a unique product out here, more of a Charleston row house type of home. So with that, we need smaller lots. RM18 allows us to go to a 45-foot lot width rather than 50. So that's the reason for the switch from R7 to RM18. However, we're certainly not maxing out the site at an RM18 density. That's why we included that unit cap condition. So still very low density, all things considered, just opens up some flexibility with respect to the development standards. And wanted to highlight that we did send out a follow-up letter to those same folks who received the initial letter from us with that update, so there wouldn't be any confusion when that city notice hit their mailboxes. We did add the condition that Mr. Kirkman alluded to, added that today after having some discussions with our neighbors on Andrews Farm Road. Really wanted to, and that property that's referenced, if you can see this. So that property sits here. That fencing condition would apply to this northern property line And what we wanted to accomplish with that condition, that would be one of our access drives. So we understand as far as impacts go, we're wanting to mitigate our vehicle traffic impacts to the greatest extent that we can. Developer is completely committed and willing to add additional buffering conditions. I want to have some follow-up discussions with our residential neighbors on Andrews Farm Road to see if a fence or enhanced landscaping is preferred. Because this is an annexation, we'll be going to council next month anyway, so we have time built in to have those subsequent discussions. But to provide some level of assurance and some comfort level, did want to go ahead and add that condition this evening with respect to that fence buffer along our access drive. So with that, again, Sydney Larson, our civil engineers here to help answer any questions. I'm happy to try to answer any questions you may have as well.
I had a few, Mr. Blackwood. So one thing I noticed is that the water is currently 8,000 feet away, that connection, but is there something more you can add to that?
Yes, so and Sydney may be able to help speak to the feasibility with respect to utilities. We do have a feasibility letter that we received from the city. That said, what we would like to do is take the utility extension from that existing PUD once that's developed along Andrews Farm Road. So that's currently being reviewed. We do have an alternative path that we can use if we have to, but the idea would be as this PUD is developed, it would be a shorter extension for us to tap in along Andrews Farm Road, just that way by virtue of that development already having those utilities extended. But if I misspoke.
Well, and 8,000 feet is a mile and a half. That's not close. So where is that 8,000 feet? Where is that connection now, if they can't get the other one?
So we'll be connecting, and my name is Sydney.
We need your name and address,
yes,
please.
My name is Sydney Larson. I'm with Kimley Horn at 1070 South Main Street in Holly Springs. We will be connecting all the way down Andrews Farm into the water line in McConnell Road, the 16-inch water line. And that conversation has been had with the city, as Nick mentioned. So the feasibility letter is in our hands for that.
And so the PUD development to the east is already annexed into the city?
That's correct. That annexation.
So you're kind of filling in that space in between, right?
That's right. Yeah, that annexation and zoning was approved in 2021. And as a follow-up to your previous question, any extension of utilities would be a developer's expense there, so not a city cost.
Important. And how about roads? Would that be, whose expense would that be? Would that be a city or the developer?
Also developers, yeah. And we actually had a traffic study prepared, and it was reviewed in connection with the traffic study that was prepared for the PUD as well. So there's kind of some synergy there with respect to anticipated improvements.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions of Mr. Blackwood? We're good. Thank you.
All right. Thank you.
Anyone else to speak in favor of this request? Seeing none, is there anyone that'd like to speak in opposition? If you would come to the podium and give your name and address, please.
Hi. Okay. My name is Jan Grafton, and I live at 1824 Andrew Farms Road, the house that was right in the middle, with the road on one side and all the housing units on the other side, plus behind our property. I have to tell you, it's hard to find words to, I'm very sorry to say how horrifying this is when you think you have your dream home. We've been there for 15 years, and we moved from the city of Greensboro, and we thought it was just perfect, open, quiet. Right now there's cows in the acreage behind us, and it just seems like there should be some property that would be more like right on the highway, or I know of housing developments I see when I drive down 4085, and it's like why can't they put more houses in there instead of in a quiet neighborhood? I know there aren't a lot of other homeowners that are affected by this, but when you are one that's affected, if you think about your homes, you probably wouldn't want to basically get kicked out because of changing circumstances. I know some people might not mind circumstances like that, but we really appreciate peace and quiet and just beauty. So many other units are going up around there. All the trees are coming down. The traffic is going to be horrendous. It's a 2-lane road right now, and they're putting up 500 units on McConnell Road, less than a mile from our house. And that all leads to Amazon and some of the other warehouses nearby. That's going to be an absolute nightmare. But I appreciate the fact that they said about building a higher fence, but a fence isn't going to keep out the noise of 200 houses. And just the wildlife that's there. I just think there must be a better way to accomplish it. I know that Greensboro wants more housing units, but if they could pick more industrial areas or somewhere that was not already developed. I appreciate you listening. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Grafton. Is there anyone else who wishes to speak in opposition to this request? Earlier, we had a comment about someone being online, and I'm assuming that they did not appear.
They have not, Chair Skeens.
Okay. Then we're open now to 5 minutes of rebuttal from Mr. Blackwood.
Again, for the record, this is Nick Blackwood, 804 Green Valley Road here in Greensboro. Can certainly appreciate Ms. Grafton's concerns. She attended our neighborhood meeting. We've had follow-up discussions with her, and we're committed to having those subsequent discussions with her as we move to City Council next month. As I mentioned, we did what we can with respect to the conditions that we could add this evening to address an immediate concern. We really think it'll be valuable for us to have another couple of weeks to discuss what type of buffer she feels may best address her concerns. But I would like to reiterate to the Commission that at the grand scheme of things, yes, this is certainly a change, but at 2.5 dwelling units an acre, it's not a real shocking deviation from what's out there already. So it's 83 acres of property. We're proposing 210 dwelling units maximum. It really just doesn't come out to a real shocking change when you consider the zoning that's already in place right across the street, permitting 1,400 units. Ms. Grafton, she referenced another project for 500 or 600 homes on McConnell Road. You also have the Duke Energy substation that was approved at the southern end of Andrews Farm Road about a year ago, indicating that the utility providers recognize the residential growth in the area. That was the whole purpose for purchasing that property and going through that process. So it's a trend in this area separate and apart from our project, but we think the fact that there are other residential developments like this in the area is indicative of the growth pattern and the reasons why folks want to locate here. You've got the convenient access to the highway infrastructure, like I said, a short commute to Toyota. So those are some of the factors that would lead us to think that this is an appropriate use for that area, just like some of the other developments that have come through for this board's commission previously. So happy to answer any other questions.
I've got a couple of questions. First, I'd just like to, I don't understand the condition with the no final plat, indicating more than 100 lots shall be recorded until such time as the secondary access point is provided.
Sure.
So that
Mike, could I
the
get
second
my slide?
Access point. I'm going to get to the other one. Okay.
So we have two road frontages onto Andrews Farm Road, that northern stem where that fencing condition relates to, and then we have a second access to the south. However, just because of the way that Andrews Farm Road stubs and dead ends to the north, emergency services are limited to that single point of access at the intersection of Andrews Farm Road and McConnell Road. So while we're asking for permission to develop up to 210 units in compliance with state fire code until a second point of access for emergency services is provided, we're capping our development density at 100. So we won't be able to plat more than 100 lots and develop those until the road infrastructure network through the PUD that was approved is completed and gives us another connection either to McConnell Road and the name of this road escapes me, but in any event, we would have a second access point for emergency services. That's the purpose of that condition.
Okay, so this development, we need this development. My only concern is I just don't understand why the access point, which is access A, okay, has become the more important entrance to this. I'm trying to understand why this secondary access doesn't become the main entrance to this development, because you've kind of surrounded the land on both sides. You have a very small bit of land that touches Andrews Farm. And I'm just wondering, for the reasons that the woman who's living in between those two areas with her concern, is there a possibility in the process while you're developing, after we determine, land use and so forth, that you will consider that?
So we happy to consider anything subject to GDOT's review. I know that there's a spacing requirement between access points on our frontage. So I think we have sufficient width along this northern portion to establish an access there, which then doesn't run us into any issues with spacing this second access point further to the south. And it may be difficult to see here, but in addition to the stream features on the western portion of the property, we also have a stream feature there on our southern boundary line. So we're somewhat pinched up along our frontage as well as to where's an appropriate place to install those access points. Now that said, in addition, I defer to GDOT, but I believe when we exceed 100 units, not only are we going to have the second emergency access point externally, but as far as internal access to our project, we're going to have to install more than just a singular access point. So we really are going to have to make the most use of the road frontage that we have, and there's no practical use for that finger up to the north but for an access point.
Just a consideration. Then my next question was, is there a requirement for an amendment to the new Garden Road plan?
That's a different case. This is Andrews Farm Road. This is in East Greensboro.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm talking about the next one. Sorry.
Yep.
I'm sorry. So that's all I wanted to know.
All
Thank
right.
you.
Well, we're happy, and again, just this is a very preliminary stage with respect to land use. Happy to work through all those technical site details with GDOT if and when this moves to site plan review.
Thank you so much.
Any other questions? I have one. You mentioned, and I just did the calculation based on the acreage and the number of units, that you're really in there at 2.5 units an acre. And most of the subdivisions in the city are R3. So you are proposing less density than the typical classification for subdivisions.
That's right. Yeah, we're coming in from a net density calculation lower than the lowest permitted development density in Greensboro's ordinance.
Okay. Thank you. I just wanted to clarify that. Any other questions? Thank you.
All right. Thank you.
Ms. Grafton, would you like to speak anymore? I think that was a no. Okay. Thank you. Not seeing any other speakers, so without objection, we'll close the public hearing. and open the floor for discussion or motions.
I'd like to make a motion for PLP 26-16, an annexation of 1818, 1820, and 1830 Andrews Farm Road.
I need a second.
Second. Warshay Downing.
Okay. We have a motion by Ms. Maggot and a second by Mr. Downing to approve the annexation request. All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. That passes on a 9-0 vote. Now we need a motion on the actual zoning.
I will make a motion regarding Z26-05-007. The Greensboro Planning and Zoning Commission believes that its action to recommend approval of the original zoning request for the property at 1818, 1820, and 1830 Andrews Farm Road from County AG Agricultural to City CDRM 18, Conditional District Residential Multifamily 18, to be consistent with the adopted GSO 2040 Comprehensive Plan, and considers the action taken to be reasonable and in the public interest for the following reasons. 1, the request is consistent with the Comprehensive Plan's future built form map and future land use map. 2, the proposed City CDRM 18 zoning district, as conditioned, permits uses that fit the context of the surrounding area and limits negative impacts on adjacent properties. 3, the request is reasonable due to the size, physical conditions, and other attributes of the area. It will benefit the property owner and surrounding community, and approval is in the public interest.
Commissioner Gilmer, second.
Thank you. We have a motion by Ms. Turner and a second by Mr. Gilmer to approve the rezoning request. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. That passes on a 9-0 vote. Thank you. Next case is going to be the New Garden Road. This is item Z-26-05-009. This is a rezoning request from R3 Residential Single Family 3 to CDCM Conditional District Commercial Medium for the properties identified as 1701 New Garden Road and 2702 Wildowski Drive, generally described as north of New Garden Road and east of Wildowski Drive, 1.08 acres. Mr. Kirkman.
Yes, thank you, Chair Skeens. Again,
Mike, if I may, I'm sorry, real quick. Chair Skeens, before we move to the next item, did you read off that last item would go?
I did not. The vote on the Andrews Farm Road. This constitutes a favorable recommendation and is subject to a public hearing at the Tuesday, June 16th, 2026 City Council meeting.
Thanks, Chair Skeens.
Okay. Now, Mr. Kirkman.
Yes, thank you very much. Again, the request before the commission this evening is a rezoning of the property from R3 Residential Single Family to CDCM Conditional District Commercial Medium. North, east, and south request is currently zoned R3. West request is zoned CDCH Conditional District Commercial High. The subject properties currently contain single-family homes. North and east of the request are also single-family homes. South of the request is stormwater infrastructure, and west request is a restaurant with drive-through use. This image shows one of the subject properties as seen from New Garden Road. This shows one of the subject properties as seen from Wildowski Drive. And this shows the other subject property as seen from Wildowski Drive. This is a single-family home located north of the request on Wildowski Drive, zoned R3. This is a single-family home located east of request on Redcoat Lane, zoned R3. This is a single-family home located east of request on New Garden Road, zoned R3. This is the stormwater control device that's located south of request on New Garden Road, zoned R3. This is an eating and drinking establishment with a drive-through facility located west of the request on New Garden Road, zone CDCH. This view is facing west on New Garden Road. The subject property is on the right. This is facing east on New Garden Road. The subject properties are on the left. This is facing north on Wildosky Drive. The subject property is on the right. And facing south on Wildosky Drive, the subject properties are on the left. And this view is facing east on Redcoat Lane. The subject properties are located on the right. This is a conditional zoning application, and this is the condition that was advertised as part of the request. The applicant has asked that additional uses be added to the prohibition list. Those are listed at the bottom: junk motor vehicles and inert debris landfills. So I ask the commission to accept those additional changes.
We need a motion to accept those highlighted additions.
Commissioner Keith Peterson, in reference to item Z-26-05-009, make a motion we accept junk motor vehicles and insert debris landfills.
As prohibited uses.
As for additional uses.
As prohibited uses, just to clarify what the motion, yep.
Prohibited uses, thank you.
Second, Warshay Downing.
Great. We have a motion to accept adding junk vehicles and inert debris landfills to the prohibited uses. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Very good. We've added those.
Thank you. The comprehensive plan's feature built form map designates this property as urban in general and the feature land use map as residential. Staff has concluded that the request does support the comprehensive plan's filling in our framework big idea to arrange our land uses for where we live, work, attend school, shop, and enjoy our free time to create a more vibrant and livable Greensboro, and the Creating Great Places goal to create a citywide network of unique neighborhoods offering residents of all walks of life a variety of quality housing choices. The CDCM district as condition does limit the uses to those similar to existing uses in the surrounding area, and the change in zoning for this property is also appropriate given its location and proximity to a major thoroughfare. Staff does note that the property borders a district-scaled activity center and is located within the New Garden Road strategic plan, which notes that the best opportunities for commercial activities that support walkable environments. Care should be taken with respect to building orientation, materials, height, and visual buffers to ensure an appropriate transition to the low-density residential on adjacent properties. To address Commissioner Maga's question that was coming up with this, yes, this request will trigger an amendment to the New Garden Road strategic plan. The property is currently designated as low residential on that plan, and the request is to amend that to the mixed-use commercial designation. So that means that before the commission this evening, you will be a recommendation only on this item, and it will automatically go to City Council. I can answer any questions.
I have one question,
Yep.
and that is that why would it not already be permitted within the language for the New Garden Road strategic plan? That's what I thought that was why that was included in the staff's write-up.
Right. So it's currently designated, and part of this you'll have to bear with me because when the New Garden Road plan was adopted, it's referencing the future land use classifications that were part of Connections 2025. So we have a different comprehensive plan in place now, so we had to kind of translate that back and forth. But the property right now is designated low residential in the New Garden Road plan for this property, which would be generally residential uses in the 3 to 5 dwelling unit per acre range. It's adjacent to a mixed-use commercial area designation, and so what they want to do is amend for this property to that mixed-use commercial as well.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Correct. Questions?
Any other questions? Thank you. Is the applicant here to present the case?
Good evening. Thank you, Chair Skeens. Nice to see you, members of the Commission. I'm Amanda Hodier, and my offices are at 804 Green Valley Road, Suite 200 in Greensboro, and I'm here tonight on behalf of the property owner and applicant, CBM GP LLC. That's a North Carolina limited liability company entity, and I have with me here tonight Mr. Eddie Krusch, who is the principal of that entity. He's actually owned this property, one of the properties, for over 30 years, and the second property for over a decade. So I'm going to let him speak a little bit as well about some of that history and his intentionality with this property as a longtime property owner here in the area. But before that, I'm going to lift up a few things about the request, some of which you've already heard. It's comprised of two separate parcels, two different parcels, hence the two addresses on the application. In total, we're just over an acre, 1.08 acres. The existing zoning is R3, residential, 3 units per acre, and the proposed zoning is conditional district commercial medium, CDCM. Our condition right now is a list of a lot of prohibited uses, a litany of prohibited uses, as Chair Skeens has said tonight. And this is all about trying to create an appropriate, scaled, and scoped commercial type of zoning district for this location. As you've heard, and we're going to talk about more in a moment, this is across the street from a large activity center. It is on a major commercial corridor, major thoroughfare. However, it's also adjacent to some residential properties. It's in a sort of distinct sector of that corridor, if you will. So we wanted to manage that transition appropriately. It shouldn't look like what's across the street. It should be more scaled back, and so that's what this condition seeks to do. The 2 items we added that you heard Mr. Kirkman read in, that was due to a direct request from an email that I received from one of the recipients of a letter, asked about those 2 specific things. Was there a reason they were excluded from my original list, and if not, could we go ahead and add them? And I said, absolutely not. We can certainly add those, so we did. So the subject property, just to orient us sort of from a high look, the red star there in the middle of your screen sits right over the 2 properties. This is an aerial view just from Google Maps. And you see some of the things that Mr. Kirkman and I were talking about. First of all, Bryan Boulevard, of course, traversing the lower part of your screen here, a major travel corridor in Greensboro for those within Greensboro, but also moving through Greensboro to other points. And then, of course, New Garden Road, which is a major corridor connecting desirable residential areas, moving folks out to the airport, moving folks over to Battleground or Bryan Boulevard to get downtown, but also home of a lot of critical goods, services, and retail. Destination retail, daily goods and services retail, experiential retail. So it really does have a hub of activity here that captures a lot of different users and trips, as we call it, for folks going out doing errands, going to birthday parties, having fun, doing specific shopping, all the things that take up some of our weekend and leisure time. The activity center right across Will Doskey here, adjacent to the site, but for that right-of-way, is the Garden Creek Shopping Center. It's a Harris Teeter anchored shopping center built 27 years ago. For those of you who remember that, I know myself included, it doesn't seem like it's been that long, but it has. Also, we have an urgent care, a bank there, the quick serve drive-through restaurant that you saw, several restaurants in the inline tenants, so a major shopping center. On the south side of New Garden, we've got the Sheetz gas station, a car wash, a Verizon store, and another couple of inline quick serve restaurants. So that's that very active activity center in the commercial corridor heading down to Battleground. As you move to the right-hand side of your screen, if you move to the left-hand side of your screen, of course, you go up to the Target Shopping Center, the Lowe's Foods, Home Goods, Marshalls, all of those other items, and on over to Guilford College Road eventually. Looking at it in parcel form here, just you can see the red outline of the 2 parcels that are the subject property of this request. So you can see they sit right on the other side of Will Doskey. They are the 4th quadrant of this improved intersection. When I say improved intersection, it is fully improved. It has a traffic signal. It has all the turn lanes. It's been widened. It has sidewalks, but for this property, which this development would fill in that puzzle piece of sidewalks, by the way. And then that southern quadrant is not quite regional, I guess, but a sized detention pond meant to hold all 3 of these other quadrants. So when it was developed by the same Eddie Krish's entities who developed Garden Creek, who developed the shopping area to the south, who is the owner of this property, that pond was put there intentionally to service all 3 of these quadrants of the intersection. So it's a fully improved major intersection meant to handle all of this development and activity that has come along in the last 27 years. The existing zoning pattern, of course, reflects that. The pink here, you see CDCH for that Harris Teeter anchored center, CDCM for the uses on the south that we talked about, and on over to the left, or going towards Guilford College for those other shopping centers, some of the R3 that we talked about, and then it transitions into a lot of CDRM, some of the townhomes that have come along on New Garden. If we could go back actually to this for a moment. I want to talk about that transition some more, and this is what Mr. Kirkman was talking about. This is a major component of our 2040 comprehensive plan, filling in the framework and creating great places. All that hustle and bustle and activity that I talked about in the aptly named activity center, we want to capitalize on that. Our 2040 plan, that's a big element of it, capitalizing on the fact that when we have people in an area already coming to a destination, let's make sure they can get as much done there as possible while they're there. If we have people living in these areas at a critical mass like we do here, and more coming in all the townhomes that we see, we want to make sure they have the goods and services there to keep that a highly desirable residential area. When you're out doing your groceries, your dry cleaning, getting your hair cut, picking up your kid from the birthday party, doing your banking, wash your car, all those things, we like to see that grouped and filling in that framework, which is a big component. However, we also want to have a nice transition. We don't need a car wash right beside a residential unit or something of that nature. So we want to be careful and scaled when we do that. And that's what this case seeks to do through conditions. You also heard about this from Mr. Kirkman. It's part of the strategic corridor plan. You want to make sure you have lots that are sized appropriately enough to handle the buffering that's required. When you put non-residential next to residential, you have to have an average width of 25 feet buffered at a type B planting rate. That's a dense buffer. So the strategic corridor plan actually speaks to that, having lots that are developable enough, big enough to handle all of that on site and maintain those nice transitions. So you can see how this corner can really do that. So here's an illustrative sketch plan. We showed this at our neighborhood meeting. This has been through TRC review. I mentioned my client has owned this property for over 30 years. So why now? Why this? It's because the right match has come along. This is very intentional. As I said, he wanted to have the right use here that took advantage of this fourth quadrant of the intersection, but didn't overdo it and didn't push it too far. So this is a bank user that has signed a 15-year lease on this property. This is their site plan that they have put forward through TRC. And just a couple of aspects I want to highlight about it. You'll notice all of the access is gained from Wildosky Drive, so not a curb cut on the heavily traveled New Garden Road corridor, which I will say that I imagine GDOT likes that. And also no curb cuts on Red Coat Lane because we have residential homes back there, so we didn't want to conflict with that. Wildosky is the perfect place to have that access. That's also an objective of the New Garden Road Strategic Corridor Plan, to use sites that can be serviced just like this. And I also want to highlight all the green landscaping, that type B buffer yard I talked about. You can see this site accommodates it. The other nice thing, because it's 3 sides, got right of way on 3 sides, we have 3 required street yards, which are also heavily landscaped, as you can see. The comprehensive plan guidance, we have the New Garden Strategic Corridor Plan, which looked to the Greensboro 2025 plan, and that is why it triggers that amendment request, because of course the 2040 plan was not in place yet. The 2040 plan, however, does designate this as an urban mixed-use corridor, as you've heard. And you can see that blue circle, which is that designation, does extend to come around the intersection. And I would submit to you that's for the reasons I've described. This heavily traveled corridor, the signalization, the widening. If we were planning this today from scratch, you would not see our planning staff or our development pattern put single-family homes on that corner. Our neighborhood communication, we sent a letter out, and actually a follow-up corrective letter because I failed to include the date of our neighborhood meeting the first time. So we sent it out to 46 neighbors and telling everyone about the project, providing contact information, and inviting everyone to a open house informational meeting that was held on May 7th over at Price Park. We had a good outcome there. 11 attendees, a lot of whom I see tonight, which is great. We had a good dialogue that I'll let them speak to. We talked about traffic patterns and trip generation. We talked about site development. I learned a fun fact that the neighborhood behind this, going up Wildosky, is actually on well and septic. It's a holdover from the county. So one feature about this site is it'll come off the well and septic, of course, not adding new septic. It'll go fully onto city water and sewer. So, of course, what I think I heard that night is that was a relief, that this development wouldn't impact those in-use wells or septic areas that neighborhood still utilizes. We talked about the fact that this corner, because it's cut off That shows it. You can see how Wildosky goes up and hits Plantation, and it doesn't connect anywhere else. So you cannot travel through up Wildosky and get over to Horsepen Creek. You can't circle around and get out to New Garden in a different place. That is it. It doesn't go anywhere. So this is an ideal location to have a limited scaled commercial use that creates no cut-through traffic, which is an important factor of the New Garden Road Strategic Corridor Plan. So we were very careful about looking at those objectives from that corridor plan and seeing how this site could line up and meet the criteria of what would be good new development sites. So that's 3 that I've highlighted that this site confirms. Let's see. I think with that, since we do have so many folks here and I want to let Eddie talk, I will leave it for questions, but I want to let Eddie add a few things in as well.
Good evening, Commission members. My name is Eddie Krusch, 3031 Pleasant Ridge Road. I'm the owner, as Ms. Hoderney said, I'm the owner of Garden Creek Center, which is adjacent to it. I was a member of the 1995 New Garden Road Focus Group, along with Mr. Gilmer. And that summer we worked together with a lot of the neighbors and the people that own property and trying to develop communication. I worked closely, and throughout that process, certain leaders for different areas seemed to, rise to the top. One such person that I dealt with in talking about the shopping center and this adjacent structure, the home, I let that person, we entered into a moratorium for 20 years, and I gave them the right to put restrictive covenants that I could not remove, but only they could remove, that ran with that property for 20 years to ensure a 20-year window protected any change on that property. And so that was 20 years. It expired in 2017, and now we're knocking on the door of 30 years before the right opportunity came together. It's certainly been a long time. I feel like this use is a good fit. Banks are not open at night. They, close at 5 p.m. They're closed on the weekends. They don't generate a lot of trips. GDOT did not require a traffic study because the intensity was so low. It doesn't make a demand on the resources in the area. It's a regional banking company out of Ohio that's making a big push into North Carolina. They're big. They're going to provide jobs. They're going to provide jobs with benefits. We need all of this. So I really think it's good. It's a low-impact type structure. It's a one-story structure. It just works for the transition. And I ask you to approve this, and I'm here to answer any questions. Thank you.
Any questions of Mr. Krusch? I have one. This restrictive covenant, did it apply to both of the properties that we are talking about tonight, or just the one on the corner?
Just the one on the corner.
Okay.
At that time, when I did that, I did not own the one behind it, but I've owned the one behind it for about 15 years now. So.
Okay. Any other questions?
Thank you.
You have 3 seconds.
I will yield my 3 seconds.
Okay.
Thank you.
We now move to those who want to speak in opposition.
I have a handout, just some bullets from my speech and public information. I have one for you folks. And tell me, would you pass that? Feel free to follow along with that. It's just some highlights from my speech and some information that is public information.
We need your name and address for
Sure,
the record.
absolutely.
Okay.
Ready to get started? My name is Crystal Early. I live at 3800 Plantation Drive, and I represent High Acres neighborhood. I'd like to say thank you, folks, for serving our community. I know that's a big job and a hard job, so we certainly appreciate it. I've tried very hard to approach this logically, thoughtfully, and respectfully, but it's difficult to not speak from the heart when you're talking about a space where neighbors become friends and families look out for each other. 5 generations of my own family have lived in this neighborhood, so if I get a little emotional, I want to apologize and ask for grace. We are asking you tonight to deny the request to rezone the residential properties at 1701 New Garden and 2702 Wildosky. Importantly, this request is inconsistent with the adopted New Garden Corridor Plan, which designates this area as low residential, not mixed-use commercial. The staff report acknowledges that approval of this request would effectively amend the New Garden Road strategic plan, and that matters because residents trusted those plans to mean something when they chose to build their lives and their families here, raise families. Let's be clear, once commercial zoning is approved on this side of the neighborhood, the next request becomes easier, the next parcel becomes vulnerable, and the residential character of this area begins to unravel one approval at a time. Because often, as soon as the ink dries on a rezoning decision, commercial uses can change, conditions can change, and what residents are ultimately left with is often a very different picture than what was originally painted. This request removes 2 homes from Greensboro's housing inventory when the city is vehemently stressing the need for more, and that matters. High Acres residents attended a developer-hosted outreach, as stated, led by Mr. Crush and his legal representative from Isaacs and Sheridan. We saw a painting of what could be a bank, and we asked about the intentions of the property. During that meeting, Mr. Crush stated that banks typically sign a 15-year lease, but he wouldn't clearly state whether it was a bank that was fully committed to this project. Ms. Hodiern stated that the proposed bank was in keeping with the amenities needed for expected growth, and that the loss of 2 homes was not an issue with regards to the city's goal for housing, almost as if that loss was insignificant. So I have to ask, how does another bank meet community need? In your packet, you'll see, I don't think that it does. You see, within roughly a 2.5-mile radius, there are already 21 banks. In that meeting, we were told the city doesn't require a traffic impact study for a bank. That's interesting because the current tenant on site has 4 signs asking traffic to slow down, and NCDOT crash data documents 21 reported crashes in less than 5 years. And, well, we residents know that not every incident makes it onto the official report. Staff reports repeatedly refer to this request as compatible with surrounding uses, yet the properties immediately north and east are established single-family homes, south and west are streets. This is not redevelopment within an existing commercial center. It is commercial expansion into the edge of a residential neighborhood, and that matters. Mr. Crush owns and controls many parcels in and surrounding High Acres. This is not an isolated rezoning request, and we have reason to be cautious. You see, when Garden Creek Shopping Center was being developed, High Acres residents were given 3 major assurances by Mr. Crush. First, we were assured that no fast food restaurants would be in the center, and that landscape has shifted. Second, we were assured that a shopping center would not open onto Wildosky, and today it's a major entrance. And third, we were promised a park. And indeed, in 2000, a park space was designated at 2724 Horsepin Creek Road, but what existed even now is little more than a 40-foot tall dirt berm that children could never safely use. Recent county record research shows that that space dedication was withdrawn without neighbors even realizing this. This discovery alone has deepened our concern and distrust regarding the current request. It has also raised some serious questions because city and county mapping records appear inconsistent with the property's ownership and zoning designation. But most importantly, if commercial property already zoned for the high use already exists under Mr. Crush's control, why is it necessary to amend the city's adopted plans and convert the High Acres area at all? But perhaps the most consequential issue before this commission tonight is one that cannot be reversed once damaged, and that's our groundwater and well systems. There is no city water, sewer, and sewer systems throughout this neighborhood, and there's no plans for the city to build. Many of our neighbors rely entirely upon the groundwater and natural recharge through the soil for drinking water. Despite staff reports saying otherwise, the property at 2702 Wildosky has a well. So when trees are removed, land is cleared and graded, and more than an acre is covered with impervious surface, we become deeply concerned about the groundwater recharge and the long-term impacts on nearby wells. At the meeting, Mr. Crush assured us his project would not affect neighboring wells, but respectfully, I don't understand how anyone can make that assurance with certainty unless a detailed hydrology and groundwater study has been completed and shared publicly. At the end of the day, It's High Acres residents who will pay the price for a rezoning decision, not Mr. Crush. It's important to recognize that the environmental impacts of this development will extend well beyond the boundaries of just these two parcels. Staff report describes the southern adjacent property as stormwater infrastructure, but in reality, that refers to a retention pond located across New Garden, not directly adjacent. And while some stormwater will reach that pond, runoff from the site would continue through Redcoat Lane into the ravine and ultimately into the stream feeding into Horsepin Creek, carrying oils, fuel residue, and other pollutants directly into our watershed system. Even the staff report acknowledges that significant water controls will be required for the site. That alone just demonstrates the seriousness of the runoff and watershed concerns. The Greensboro 2040 plan repeatedly emphasizes protecting neighborhoods, preserving communities, safeguarding natural resources, and evaluating the long-term impacts of development. This request conflicts with those principles. The plan specifically asks whether rezonings create direct adverse impacts on adjacent neighborhoods. It does, and that matters. This request does not strengthen housing availability, it does not protect neighborhood stability, it does not preserve residential character, and it does not meet an unmet community need. Before I close, I would respectfully ask that any member of this commission who may have a personal, professional, or financial relationship with the applicant, his family, or any of his companies, or his legal representatives at Isaacs and Sheridan disclose that relationship, as well as any prior involvement or knowledge related to the park space designation and reversal of that designation at 2724 Horsepin Creek. Transparency matters. As Mayor Abizader stated at the swearing in of our police chief, public trust matters. At the end of the day, this decision is not about a bank, and in fact, it stopped being about a bank the moment Mr. Cush was asked whether he could provide a legal assurance, a restrictive covenant, guaranteeing that a bank would remain on property for the next 15 years. His response to me was, "No, I'm not going to paint myself into a corner." That answer changed everything, because this commission is not being asked to approve a bank. You are being asked to approve commercial zoning inside an established residential neighborhood without long-term guarantees about what ultimately occupies the land, without demonstrated unmet need at the expense of existing homes, stable neighborhoods, groundwater systems, and community trust. Every commercial corridor has to end somewhere. If every residential edge property becomes compatible for commercial expansion simply because commercial exists nearby, then no neighborhood boundary is ever truly protected. The New Garden Corridor plan specifically envisioned this area as low residential. That distinction matters because adopted plans are supposed to guide growth intentionally, not incrementally erode established neighborhoods through repeated exceptions. The Greensboro 2040 plan speaks about creating a Greensboro where people can thrive across generations. A bank doesn't allow that to happen, but a neighborhood does. Tonight, we are asking you to protect more than a few homes. We are asking you to protect the integrity of adopted city plans and the trust residents placed in the city when they invested their homes to raise their family. A community built over generations simply cannot be undone because a map changes color. We, High Acres, humbly ask you to vote no on rezoning. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Early. We'll now go to rebuttal. The applicant, like 5 minutes.
Were there any other people speaking in opposition? I wasn't clear. Still have a minute
The
left.
time was.
Well, we had a minute left.
All right, we had. Is there anyone else that'd like to speak? There's about a minute of time left in opposition. I'm sorry, I made an assumption that no one could talk that fast.
Hello, my name is Juna May, and I live at 3801 Plantation Drive. My current concern is for the water table, because all of the drainage from our house sits kind of at the bottom of this bowl, and all of the drainage from like Redcoat and Wildosky, when it really rains heavily, that all comes right behind my property. There's a stream bed behind my property. And so I'm just very concerned by putting more impervious surface there that it's going to cause some issues. My well sits 40 feet from that stream bed. So and I'm not really sure. I need to do more research about what the plan is to get, we have a septic and well. So that's my primary concern, along with the things that Ms. Early stated, that this is a family neighborhood. We spend a lot of time walking around there, and the traffic pattern is already, that's my signal. So thank you very kindly.
All righty. Thank you. Now we can move to 5 minutes of rebuttal. Okay.
Thank you. While he's doing that, Amanda Hodier, 804 Green Valley Road, Suite 200. Thank you to Ms. Early and Ms. May for those comments, and thank both of them for attending our meeting also. So first of all, I want to speak to the comprehensive plan items. If we can. So this is why I had these screenshots, and this is all from the New Garden Strategic Corridor Plan. It was adopted in 2019. So if you look at this, what it states under determining future land uses is that there's a few remaining what they called high-pressure development sites, and then it goes on to say that while they were undertaking this process, Greensboro undertook its own comprehensive development plan update. So what they decided to do was simply say, we're going to hold the 2025 land use, but then as the 2040 plan comes out, people should get involved and go participate in that and adopt these policies and objectives and considerations that we're about to talk about into what happens into the 2040 plan. So this next page here, recommendations, are those factors that the strategic corridor plan directs people to look at when thinking about what those future land use plans are. So let me say that another way. The strategic corridor plan doesn't have its own future land use plan map. What it does is reference the 2025 plan and then acknowledges the fact that that's all about to change and that the 2040 plan process should be engaged in through the lens of these factors. Those factors are physical site features, looking at environmental constraints, looking at the size, topography, layout. Can the sites that are being looked at for development accommodate the development in a reasonable fashion? Access, I talked about this. Can the sites being looked at for development be accessed in a safe and reasonable way that doesn't impede the New Garden Road corridor and that doesn't create other conflicts and disadvantageous situations on side streets? We talked about that. Connectivity and isolation from adjacent uses. Grouping things in places that make sense, grouping them together so that we're not crisscrossing the area, getting to things that we want to go to, and keeping trips limited off the major streets when we can do that. Off-site impact and transition to adjacent properties, same type of thing. Corridor character and scale. So that is what the future land use, that's how it's treated under the New Garden Strategic Corridor Plan. In other words, low residential was not an intentional, specific, decided land use. It was just an acknowledgement of what the 2025 plan said, while in the same breath acknowledging that it was about to change. So I think that's an important factor. Things were talked about this rezoning will make other rezonings more likely or more vulnerable. So I'll just remind the board, of course, that we look at each rezoning as it comes as a standalone matter. As you guys are applying a thoughtful analysis tonight, of course, you would do so to any other case, and we can't make assumptions or speculations about future cases that are not before you, of course. Removing 2 houses is not insignificant, but these are older homes. One has already had the water system well fail. The second home is not inhabited right now because it is not up to current standards for that to be a great place to be rented, so that these houses would need a significant reinvestment and likely at a higher density at this location. No TIA, that was GDOT's data-informed threshold that we did not meet very intentionally because this is a low trip generator and because of the highly improved intersection that already exists. The groundwater and well system recharge issue, we need to talk about the fact that this neighborhood was built in the county, no stormwater requirements at that time. It's on ditch and swale. Stormwater regulations were not what they are today. Today, when we develop the site, as you all know, while land use, of course, isn't about site development, we will go ahead and talk about it just to allay any uncertainty. This will be developed with stormwater regs. The significant stormwater requirements are that it will have to be caught, treated, released under the current modern standards, which currently do not benefit this area. So the detention pond that's on the other corner that I talked about is there waiting to do this. This site will be forced to grade and drain into an inlet collection system, the grates that you see in parking lots, drain down to a collection underneath into a pipe that already exists at this corner and under New Garden Road into that pond. That's required. That's part of your technical review committee process. The engineers look at that to make sure that that is exactly what's happening, so that stormwater, the runoff from additional impervious surface doesn't go and negatively impact any kind of situation, wells, septic, whatever it may be. We don't allow runoff to happen like that, and this site wouldn't either. I'm happy to answer any other questions that I wasn't able to get to.
Any questions of Mr. Hodering?
Yes. Was there outreach to the New Garden Road strategic planning?
Yes, thank you for bringing that up. Yes, there was. I worked with Russ Clegg and Crane Hart here in the planning department, who staffed that effort back in 2019, and they provided me with contacts of that entire committee. So I emailed all of them with the letter and with the invite to the meeting. I did hear back from one of them. That was the person who asked for those 2 additional prohibited uses, actually, and she actually wrote a letter of support that I just had in my email this afternoon. So that was the only person from that committee that responded, and she just thanked us for going through the process.
And just for clarity, will there have to be like a text amendment, something done with the New Garden?
So the way the plan is structured, and Ms. Hodien is correct, it was in kind of a weird time frame, if you will, because
Yes.
the city was undergoing the overall comprehensive plan. But the way it's laid out, yes, there is an amendment to the land use map in the New Garden Road strategic plan. That amendment is what triggers it having to go to city council automatically. It also triggers additional requirements in terms of neighborhood outreach than you might have typically with a rezoning case. So there's 2 different pieces that are triggered on that. But the bigger thing for the commission this evening is that your motion will be a recommendation. This will go on to city council.
And there'll be time in between for all of that. Okay, thank you for that clarity.
Any other questions? Thank you.
Thank you.
Would the opposition like 5 minutes of rebuttal time?
With the first,
Wait till you get to the mic.
with the first letter that we received, and then the second letter that we received in the meeting, they didn't give us a date of the first meeting.
Just for clarification, you're Crystal.
I'm so
Early
sorry.
from-
I'm Crystal Early at 3800
Okay.
Plantation Drive. I do apologize.
Okay.
I didn't realize I had to say that a second time. I'm so sorry. We have had basically 11 days to read comprehensive plans and learn things. Mr. Clegg was nice enough to send me a link to something. You've got an email in there from him. So we are all new at this. You can also see one of the photos. There was not a rezoning sign in front of that home. So our neighbors thought just the front house was being rezoned. So a lot of confusion in our neighborhood about what was actually happening. So we have had to send letters and do grassroots efforts by going door to door to try to just share information happening here. So I appreciate what Ms. Hodern is saying. I haven't had time to look at any changes to these things. I was just looking at what Mr. Russ Clegg had sent me via an email. So I don't have much information more than what I have given you. But we are very concerned, and we don't want to change the character of the neighborhood. Thank you.
Were there any questions of Ms. Early? Very good, thank you. There's still 3.5 minutes if anyone else wants to speak during the rebuttal time of opposition. Seeing none, without objection, we will close the public hearing and open the floor for discussion, motions.
I'd just like to say that this is in my neighborhood, and I drive down that road every day, Wildosky, and I've seen the signs, slow down, go slow, all of that. I was prepared today to come in here and vote against this. After hearing what was said here in the meeting and the development that they're planning on that corner, I am going to vote in favor of this because I feel like the house on the corner there is in such a precarious place that there's no way that traffic can slow down. And because of the Garden Creek Center across from it, it was fated to be a location that just could not become a housing, where someone could live without being worried that your kids are going to be run over. So with that said, I'm going to be voting in favor of this. I'm not excited that it's another bank because there's, one in this small strip mall. But I just wanted to thank the people that came because I know there's 21 homes back there besides these two that have lived there for up in 20 years, in the neighborhood further down. And I just hope that this continues to just be commercial development that's related to the commercial development and doesn't progress into your community.
Any other comments or observations?
Yes, Madam Chairman, I don't have a conflict of interest, hopefully, from 25 years ago. But I think I will be supporting the development. I think it is a low impact on the community, so I will be supporting it. Thank you.
And you were actually on the original corridor plan committee, weren't you?
Yes, that was the first one in the city of Greensboro that we had.
Okay. So you were privy to all the discussions as to what was evolving.
Yes, it was a lot of hard work.
And it was low residential. It was low residential, that area.
Yeah. I think we spent about 18 months in meetings, I think. I can't remember. It's a long time ago, maybe. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
And also just want to add a few things. Thank you to both individuals. Of course, to Ms. Early, I do understand your material was very thought-provoking. We don't often get stacks of paper from the opposition. And I do understand that you are concerned about the congruence of the corridor plan in relation to this proposed aspect here. However, I'm inclined to support this primarily because it is low impact. And it's also, when I drive by the area, not that often, but I do drive by the area, I always thought it was very precarious seeing a house on the corner. And I do understand that we want to keep the integrity and the vitality of the neighborhood. However, it is incumbent upon us as we grow, we also evolve, and we make things a lot more streamlined, so to speak. So that is why I'm inclined to support this from a land use perspective, but also from a development perspective. But I also want to say thank you for your comments as well.
Any other comments or a motion?
Yes, I'll make a motion. I have to get my materials around it. Regarding Z2605-009. The Greensboro Planning and Zoning Commission believes that its action to recommend approval of the rezoning request for the property at 1701 New Garden Road and 2702 Wildosky Drive from R3 Residential Single Family 3 to CDCM Conditional District Commercial Medium to be consistent with the adopted GSO 2040 Comprehensive Plan and considers the action taken to be reasonable and in the public interest for the following reasons. 1, the request is consistent with the Comprehensive Plan's future built form map and future land use map. 2, the proposed CDCM zoning district as conditioned permits uses that fit the context of the surrounding area and limits negative impacts on adjacent properties. The request is reasonable due to the size, physical conditions, and other attributes of the area. It will benefit the property owner and surrounding community, and approval is in the public interest.
Commissioner Gilmore, seconds.
Thank you. We have a motion to approve from Ms. Turner, seconded by Mr. Gilmer. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. That passes on a 9-0 vote, and because this requires a plan amendment to the New Garden Road Plan, this constitutes a favorable recommendation and is subject to a public hearing at the Tuesday, June 16th, 2026 City Council meeting. And I hate to do this, folks, but it's 10 after 8. We're thirsty and we're hungry. So we're going to take a 15-minute break. We've got some text amendments that we have opposition to, so I have no way of knowing how long that might take. So we need a break. And yes, the UDP, but the time thing would be the text amendments. So we will be adjourned for 15 minutes, please.
Recording stopped.
Greensboro just can't get enough of Broadway. The First Bank Broadway series is back for a record 5th season, bringing with it 7 fabulous shows. Years First Bank has been doing this. What makes it just such a good partnership and something you want to keep doing?
Oh, it's just been such a great experience for 4 or 5 years. It's hard to believe that it's been that long, but it's so rewarding to see it become kind of the fabric of our community here at the First Bank Broadway series.
Why do you think it is? Why do you think people keep coming back and this is something they just yearn for? I mean, this event, the announcement just gets bigger and bigger every year.
Right. I think it's just part of the community and what people, we've given them a great product and the community has proven that they love something that's fun that everybody around here can get involved in.
What is the feeling you get when you come to a Broadway show in your hometown?
Just a lot of pride. I'm so proud of our company and our community for bringing this here to Greensboro. So I'd say a lot of pride.
Do you have a favorite or something you're looking forward to in this next season?
I'm probably looking forward to Buena Vista Social Club the most. I think it'll be fun. It's different music, and I look forward to seeing it.
Yeah, And you're a family guy, and what I really like is that there's something for different ages in this season, too. Just about every season we've had something for all ages.
Yes, I know my kids and my wife will love coming to several of these shows, and we'll all have a good time together.
The Tanger Center is a cornerstone of our city and our thriving arts scene. It enriches our quality of life and is part of what makes people want to live, work, and play in the city of Greensboro, North Carolina.
Can you believe, Mayor, that it has been 5 years since we opened the Tanger Center and began this Broadway journey?
I am so thrilled because I remember the day it was supposed to open in 2020. COVID shut us down. So I am more than thrilled. We are at the 5-year mark.
Can you believe just how popular it still is? I mean, this is not something that is kind of going away, and it's still very shiny and new.
It's all like everything is continuing to evolve, and there's new momentum, and I mean, you can tell from the new Broadway shows, it's keeping everyone's interest.
When you come to a show, what kind of feeling do you get? Because I think it's so much about the feeling when you sit in the theater and you turn everything off to watch a performance.
And I'm one of these, I kind of look around and see the generations that are in the house, and I've been so pleased because you have everyone from toddlers all the way up to 80, 90-year-olds. So it kind of, to me, brings community together because everybody's interested in seeing the next Broadway show or what's coming next.
And I love the excitement that builds when we make these big announcements. What are your thoughts about next season? And do you have a particular one that you are so excited to see?
I am. I really want to see all of them, number one, I'll say that. But I think the one that piqued my interest the most is the one about Bobby Darin. Because he was a heartthrobber back in the day. And, you know, we used to watch him on the Ed Sullivan Show and all of those things. And I am really, really interested in hearing about his life story.
Yeah. And I mean, Jonathan Groff playing him on Broadway.
Yes.
Yeah, he's a star for the younger generation, so I think that will bring in folks to see the show just because of him.
That's exactly right. So, you know, we've got some great hits coming, but, you know, that is the one that piqued my interest.
Yes, so come downtown, come to a show. We'll see you there, right?
That's right. Come to the Tanger Center. All the shows will be here.
Broadway series subscribers have the first opportunity to buy tickets, but you can find out how to become a subscriber and buy individual tickets at tangercenter.com.
Hello, my name is Joseph Osbey, one of the owners of Cucino Forno Pizzeria, located at 1160 Revolution Mill Drive, Revolution Mill, Greensboro. Here at Cucino Forno, we offer authentic Neapolitan pizzas, where we bring almost 85% of our ingredients from Italy. We are cooking those pizzas in wood-fired ovens. Everything is hand-stretched, handmade in front of your eyes. Along with our authentic pizzas, we offer homemade salads where we make them in the house, Italian gelato imported from Italy also, and we offer different variety of cakes, homemade cannolis and cupcakes, along with imported wine and imported beer from Italy and soft drinks. Our most popular pizza is the Margherita pizza, which was named after Queen Margaret. Here at Cucino Forno, we are a family-oriented place where we have open kitchen style, we have picnic style tables. So again, come see us for authentic pizzas, salads, desserts, and gelato at 1160 Revolution Mill Drive. You can also follow us or find us at cucinoforno.com or Cucino Forno on Facebook or on Instagram.
Would probably call this a soccer net. Well, this summer is actually a football net. That's because Team Norway is calling Greensboro home during their stay for the 2026 FIFA World Cup.
Today, we are proud to announce that the Norwegian national football team has selected Greensboro as its team base for the FIFA World Cup 2026.
Chancellor, what did it take to make this happen, bringing Team Norway here?
Well, it took collaboration from a variety of stakeholders. Usually great things happen when people collaborate. So it's the city, the Sports Foundation, the Visitors Bureau, and UNCG all coming together setting aside agendas, and working for one collective vision.
And you know, you're right here in Greensboro, so we think everybody in Greensboro knows what's happening on campus, but that's not always the case. Can you tell us a little bit about soccer here at UNCG?
Well, we are a really competitive national soccer program. We've gone deep in the NC2A playoff twice in the last 3 or 4 years. A very strong soccer program and a rich soccer tradition. It is one of our premier sports, and we have a fabulous facility.
Yeah, and that's one of the reasons the team actually chose it, was because of this facility, not only because of Greensboro, but because of the beautiful facility here at UNCG.
We have a wonderful soccer facility, a wonderful stadium, the training facilities, the weight room, the physio room, everything is just a few steps away. And you pair that with the things that Greensboro has going for it, hotels that are conducive to this sort of thing, and it really makes a good match, and we're thrilled to have the Norwegians.
Mayor, have you been practicing your Norwegian?
I have. Tony Cordo is giving us a few pointers on that, so that's exciting.
What do you think about the Norwegian team making this their base camp?
I think it's thrilling, exciting, and it just shows how special Greensboro is, and that the whole world is noticing that. So I am thrilled that they are coming here to have us as their home base.
Are you a soccer fan?
I am. I watch it all the time. My kids played soccer. They played all kinds of sports, but they love soccer. And, I watch it a lot.
And having Greensboro on a national stage, what does that mean to you personally?
Oh, I say this is a global stage. So I am just thrilled that, the entire world will be looking at us, because the Norwegian team, hoping they go all the way up, that they're going to be watching Greensboro as well.
They're going to get some new fans here in Greensboro, too.
They sure are. And I think that's one of the best things that can come out of this, is to show the camaraderie, show how much our service industry loves them, our hospitality, all of the things they can see here, and who knows what horizons will open up after that.
Tell us, what does it take to bring a team here like what's happening?
This is a little bit of an anomaly, I will say, though. It's funny with planning the World Cup, it's very much like quiet leading up to it, and all of a sudden it's a flurry of activity, right? And that's in contrast to many of the events that we bring other times a year, where we're working 10 years out to book these events with the meeting planners or tournament planners. But in this case, it was a matter of, they reached out to Sports Foundation initially there, I want to say like a couple of months ago, and all of a sudden you got to help find places to put them. And we suspected we were getting a team, but you just don't know what you're getting until a little bit closer to the actual event here. But we're incredibly excited. I mean, as you heard, they selected us because they like the culture here. They like the outdoors we've got and love the facilities here at UNCG. And it's exciting to see that we were selected.
Yeah, so they come on June 2nd. How long might they be here?
A few weeks. So they're amazing success that they're going to have has a impact on the stay, of course, but I would anticipate at least a few weeks in town, and it's going to be very exciting to see them here.
Yeah, so will there be any access to the public, and what does that look like?
Yeah, so they usually commit to doing an event that the public can enjoy. So what that looks like is still to be determined, whether it's a scrimmage or a meet and greet or some sort of open practice where you can watch them, but that's an opportunity for residents, students here to go out and see what's it like to see a FIFA team up in person, really, right? That's a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity, regardless of the team.
I feel like we're going to need to get some jerseys now and some T-shirts, having a Greensboro and Norway on them.
Right. Well, that's a joke, and I started the year with a different color. I follow a lot of the World Cups, but I guess this year I'm going to be red and blue from now on.
Team Norway,
Amen.
That's right. Yeah, so I know that you are a soccer fan. What does it mean personally to you?
It's excitement. I mean, I love anything soccer, honestly, but it's just exciting to always get to see, things in person, right? There's a difference between watching something on TV and going to an actual match or tailgating before. The whole experience is a package, right? But having them be so close to here, it gives you somebody to root for. And there's something about having that, hometown pride that changes things. When you live in a community, it's fun to pick that team that's in your community.
Team Norway is calling Greensboro home this summer, training at UNCG for the 2026 FIFA World Cup. There may be opportunities to actually see them train, see the team in person, and we'll be keeping you updated that over the summer.
Parking in downtown Greensboro is easy with the Park Mobile app. You can easily pay for parking in any public surface lot or on-street meter location using this simple, user-friendly app. After downloading and opening the app, you will see a map displaying your location and nearby parking zones. Once you've parked, confirm your zone number on the closest Park Mobile sign, select the amount of time you'd like to stay, and complete your payment. Need to extend your time? Open the app and add to the maximum time limit allowed in the zone. No smartphone, no problem. Call 877-727-5301 to set up your payment. Need ADA accessible parking? Display your valid plot card and select the accessible zone in your location, even if you aren't in a designated accessible space. Friendly reminder, parking is free in public surface lots and on-street locations after 5 p.m. Monday through Friday. Parking is also free all weekend and on city-recognized holidays. So plan your next trip downtown, support your favorite small businesses, and don't forget to use the Park Mobile app for convenient, hassle-free parking payments.
Welcome to Cream Sip and Scoop, located in the heart of downtown Greensboro at 410 East Market Street. We offer 12 unique ice cream flavors, handcrafted milkshakes, dirty sodas, lattes, and cocktails, all in one place. Whether you're trying our fan favorite Blue Panda ice cream or sipping on a Little Loco dirty soda, you're guaranteed to leave satisfied. We also proudly offer vegan and dairy-free options, so there's something for everyone. Cream isn't just an ice cream shop, it's the new generation's ice cream bar experience. Come find us downtown Greensboro, and don't forget to follow us on Instagram at CreamGSO.
Recording in progress.
Well, that's setting me up here, enlightening everybody. Let's see. I'm just going to go to the slideshow. There we go. Okay. Yes, good evening, Madam Chair, members of the Planning and Zoning Commission. My name is Chris Andrews, Deputy Director with the Planning Department. Yes, tonight this text amendment is our Spring 2026 General Text Amendment. This is the collection of regular amendments that Planning wants to be able to make to the city's land development ordinance. I know we've talked about this in the past. It's kind of our routine maintenance, or I guess since we're in spring, you can think about spring cleaning. But this is our effort on behalf of the Planning Department to look at the land development ordinance and see what things we can proactively make amendments to. So these are a collection of amendments that staff has realized we needed either due to changes in state statutes, changes to other city ordinances or city code, challenges that we observe with the development process that city staff believes we should recommend for change, or from the discussion and approvals, especially at the Board of Adjustment where we have variances. So there are 9 sections. Well, first of all, the text of the amendment is within your packets, but there are 9 sections of amendments, and I can highlight those really quick. The first one is related to just references that about the Board of Adjustment, about special use permits and being heard by City Council. That's just inaccurate, and I don't know if that was from a previous change. It just needed to be cleaned up. The second and third items were removal of what's called the successive applications portion for rezoning and Board of Adjustment applications, and those needed to be taken out due to changes in state statute that kind of eliminated the city or a municipality to be able to dictate how fast somebody can come back in with a subsequent application once it's been denied. The fourth item is the removal of the open space requirement for multifamily development within the central business district. This kind of aligns with the development standards, or sometimes the lack thereof, within a central business district, much like parking or maybe more limited landscaping, with the expectation that there's a more intense development pattern, as well as more widely available transportation networks, street networks, sidewalks, public parks and amenities. So the expectation of standards that would apply on the outskirts of the city, but also those compared to inside the central city. Just analyzing that. The fifth one was the removal of criminal penalties from the zoning enforcement procedures, and that again was required from changes in state statute. The sixth item is the good repair regulations for the central business district, talking about physical shape of buildings. Those are proposed to be removed as they are now covered by the city's some non-residential building standards. And then number 7 is the removal of the entertainment facility use standards. One, because the city no longer has privilege licenses, and that was tied to the issuance of a privilege license. So we felt confident we could eliminate that standard. And then number 8 is related to swimming pools, and this really was to address swimming pool placement on corner lots. And believe it or not, this is kind of a hot topic at Board of Adjustment. When you have a corner lot and that a standard of you're unable to see the pool from a street, that makes it very difficult where you can place a pool on a corner lot. And so with the number of variances that have been approved by the Board of Adjustment related to that topic, staff felt like that was a good opportunity to amend that section. And then finally, number 9 is minimum signage standards for planned unit developments. And this is kind of gets in the weeds, but when planned developments have a large area of residential development, there's a certain threshold, but a certain standard for which signage should be the signage standard should be no less restrictive than, and it limits the ability for, let's say, a multifamily development to have an attached sign on their property, which you would expect, the property to be able to identify itself, so people knew, you live at the X, Y, and Z apartment complex, and that was a challenge for apartments, and that's only within planned unit development, so that's not applicable to the rest of just resident or multifamily residential things. So that was a very specific change that needed to happen. So I also do want to note that staff provided a draft of these proposed amendments to TREBIC, in which we gained their support. There were no comments that were passed along to staff, but we did that prior to or as we finished the draft, we sent that to them. So with that, staff requests a recommendation of approval of the item with forwarding to City Council for their June 16th meeting. As this is a text amendment, there still would need to be a statement of consistency and reasonableness. And then if there are any recommended changes from the commission, a motion to that change would need to include that change. So I'm happy to answer any questions that the commission might have for staff, and just thank you again for your time and consideration with these. I want to look to our my colleagues here.
Yes, so there are other remedies in the ordinance. The primary one is civil penalties. And so basically after a notice of violation is issued to the property owner and they do not correct that, then we begin to issue civil penalties, which then we can go eventually to court to try to collect, and also gives us the opening to seek injunctive relief as well to prevent a use or a situation from occurring. Separately, there's other things about being able to revoke permits if they were issued incorrectly, hold up plan approval because there's an issue on the property. There are other things on there. What this is simply saying is that we cannot put somebody in jail for a zoning violation, and that's really reflective of what state law is. Yes.
I just have one simple question in regarding the section 830-8-11. Was there the illustration that we think was needed, or does the text provide enough context for people to understand what they're talking about?
So based upon the one suggestion, and this is good to point this out, we did clarify in the text that when viewed from side road or side street, I think that was a recommendation from the chair, and we have added that to the text on there. That's something we can discuss for council about trying to include an elevation if necessary. It's a simple concept that's hard to explain. We agree.
And I think it would be...
But they'll know it when they see it. Yeah. Okay.
And I think it would, just with the administration of an ordinance, typically the things that are illustrative within the ordinance are not the... So we could always work on something that assists if there's questions of either applicants or interpretive issues that staff might have. But that's a good question.
Well, what I remember from my Board of Adjustment days, we just put up a fence, right? You just blocked it from the street. Is it more complicated than that?
On the corner lots, yes and no. I mean, there are different configurations how folks do these things, and the issue is usually that the intent behind this originally was that the pool would not be the prominent feature of the house, right? So it's behind the house. But if you put it behind the front facade, it is often on the side street, very much visible from there. So that's where we've had a lot of the variance requests that have come in. And the board has approved a number of variance requests to that effect, and I think we understand that means something needs to be adjusted with the ordinance, because clearly there are a number of situations that are coming up that are being dealt with on an individual basis, but the pattern is very clear that this rule needs to be updated.
So it may be visible from the street in some circumstances?
From the side, if you're on a corner lot, you might be able to, it's behind the house, but effectively you can still see it from the side street. And that has to do with the angles and other things on there. And depending upon the size of the lot, it is very tricky to place it without it being visible from some angle on the side street. So that's what we're trying to address.
Commissioner Oliver, the requirement that the pool be outside the setbacks would still apply. So we're not advocating pools be right up against the property line or anything, but just the site constraints when you're on a corner lot, it made it difficult for applicants. So.
Any other questions? We have one consistency statement, and that will cover all 9 of the proposed amendments.
Oh, Madam Chair, I wanted to, I can answer that. Yeah, each of the sections that were read, it's all one amendment. Each of those sections were just broken down from different portions of the land development ordinance. So there might have been smaller parts within there that were kind of grouped together. So yes, this is just one request.
And who would like to attempt that?
I'd like to.
Okay.
Item PLP 26-19, the LDO text amendment, spring 2026 general text amendment. The text amendment statement by the Greensboro Planning and Zoning Commission on consistency with adopted comprehensive plan and reasonableness. The Greensboro Planning and Zoning Commission believes that its actions to approve the spring 2026 general text amendment to be consistent with the adopted GSO 2040 comprehensive plan and considers the action taken to be reasonable in the public interest for the following reasons, and it includes all of the sections that we have spoken about. One, the request is consistent with allowing development that supports the comprehensive plan's future build format and future land use map. Two, the text amendment better supports the Greensboro City Council's strategic goal of being an easy place to do business and also supports the goals of the GSO 2040, the city's comprehensive plan in creating great places and filling in our framework. And three, the request is reasonable due to the fact that the proposed amendments provide administrative clarity for both staff and ordinance readers.
Second, Warshay Downing.
Thank you. We have a motion by Ms. Magid and a second by Mr. Downing to approve all 9 of the amendments. If we are in agreement, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. All right. Those have been approved. The last item is, this has to go, this is a recommendation. This constitutes a favorable recommendation and is subject to a public hearing at the Tuesday, June 16th, 2026 City Council meeting. Now we can move on to the UDP revision. This is PLP 26-20.
And I'll basically say this is a technical matter. This is not a public hearing. We do actually have someone here from the engineering group that's working on the project if you have any questions about this, but basically it's a minor change to the approved Unified Development Plan previously, so it has to come back to the Planning and Zoning Commission for an official action so that then the Unified Development Plan can be updated and re-recorded to allow this development to move forward.
But this ends up being a final vote.
Correct, right. So this is the final action of the commission. If you vote to approve it, then we can the next step would be to update it and re-record it at the Guilford County Register of Deeds. So
all right, do we need to read the proposed change into the record? Well, I'm getting, I don't know.
Doesn't hurt to, Chair Skeens. Yes, ma'am. Yeah. I would say let's do that.
Well, it's very simple. It's a landscaping change. Our ordinance requires a 25-foot type B vegetated buffer between the proposed commercial use and the existing residential use, and the applicant is proposing a change that would reduce the aforementioned 25-foot landscape buffer to 5 feet wide with a 6-foot tall opaque fence, and all parties are in agreement with this change. So we just need a motion to make the change to the UDP as it relates to PLP 2620.
Madam Chair, I'd like to make a motion for PLP 2620, the Unified Development Plan.
Commissioner Gilman, second. Commissioner Gilman, second.
We have a motion and a second to approve the proposed change on that UDP. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. That passes 9-0, and this approval constitutes a final action, and it can be appealed, correct? Again, I'm getting the...
It's a little more complicated the way the ordinance is laid out. This is effectively a final action by the Planning and Zoning Commission.
This constitutes final action. End. Okay. Good. Done. All right, we're now on to items from the Planning Department.
We have nothing else to add. With the continued case tonight, there'll be 3 items on the agenda for the June Planning and Zoning Commission meeting.
So no dinner.
True.
Okay. All right. So three cases for June. Any items from the commission?
Nope. Motion to adjourn.
Okay. The Elvis went away. Yes, well, we got that.